Yeah, I'm always the last to know. How are you, Greg?
First to know on the 9 till noon show.
Of course, Gregory. You got your nice shirt on today.
It's just whitely.
Did you iron it? You ironed that yourself,
did
you?
this
Did
morning.
you?
I did.
You did a good job with that.
Thanks very
Could
much.
I drop you a few bits of bobs in, could I?
No bother, I like ironing.
All right, okay.
Got myself a wee steam iron, it's a piece of cake.
Did you?
I did, I.
Did you?
Had it for years.
Did the brown stuff ever come out of your iron? No?
Yeah.
That's the worst
But
when you
it's
do
bad
nice.
water, you see.
Is it salty water?
No, it's just that the water's dirty or something.
I have a wee sachet, right, that you can put into these irons, but I don't know where to put it in.
Put it in where the water goes.
Is that all you do?
Yeah, of course.
But what do you have to flush it out then? Or what do you do? Steam it out?
I don't know.
See,
Shake it about, tip it
I
out.
have it sitting on the mantelpiece and it's
Is it a regular iron you have?
It's a steam iron.
So it produces actual steam. You can vertically iron with it.
No, not vertically, just normal iron. What kind of ironing board do you have?
It has a wee container. It's got a wee container.
It's got a wee container and you pull out the thing and you put in the water. But then do you put the sachet in there? But how do you get rid of all the stuff that's in? Do you just iron as normal or do you have to like steam it out?
086 60 25
I don't know. We need help with this.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly,
I have
okay.
this sachet for about a year.
We'll get to the bottom of it later.
Thanks, Greg.
It'll be resolved before 5
I'll
past
iron your
9.
shirt. Can I iron your shirt? As brown stuff comes out, it's...
I don't think I'd trust you.
I know you.
All right, good luck to you. If you can answer his question, get in touch with us. It's he's not going to settle till he finds out. Okay, let's get a news update at 9 o'clock. Good morning, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A Letterkenny Milford Municipal District Councillor says he's flabbergasted after Ishka Aaron told him that the water supply at Rossbach and Manor Cunningham did not make the cut for inclusion in the 2023 mains rehabilitation programme and that there are no plans to replace the mains in the area this year. Councillor Jerry McMonigal says there needs to be more accountability and that he will be pursuing the matter at the highest level. He says given that there have been 2 outages in the past 7 days alone, he's questioned what needs to be done in order for work to be carried out.
I sent an email off requesting that information, what needs to happen for an area to make the cut, as they put it. I'll take it as high as I can get it within Irish Water, but I think there needs to be some government intervention here. Someone has to be able to hold Irish Water to account, and that needs to happen very, very quickly.
The Cathaoirleach of the Inishowen Municipal District has described works approved for Newton Cunningham as a game changer. Donegal County Council has given the go-ahead for works as part of the town's Main Street Active Travel project. Improvement and upgrade works are to be carried out and traffic calming measures installed. Councillor Paul Canning says once complete, Newton Cunningham will hugely reap the benefits.
The street is very long and a lot of vehicles use it because anybody's coming from Derry through the Killea road will come through Newton, and there's a lot of vehicles in that street. We have about 6 raised tables, they call them, that will slow down the traffic. This system is also to encourage people to walk more than in the vehicles, and also a lot of the footpaths are getting widened to suit people going to school.
Farmers say they're worried re-wetting plans will lead to land values being slashed. The EU wants Ireland to start saturating peatland to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It's part of the Nature Restoration Law, which hopes to restore at least 20% of the EU's damaged land and sea areas by 2030. But the Irish Natura and Hill Farmers Association says re-wetted peatlands could result in the market price of upland and bog falling dramatically. Declan O'Brien, news correspondent with the Irish Farmers Journal, says farmers are worried about who would want to buy flooded lands.
There's going to be a devaluing of the asset value of the farmers' lands that are selling now for 6, 7, 8,000 an acre. They will go back in value. How far back they will go, nobody knows. But who's going to want to own a bog outside of the state potentially that is effectively re-wet?
Weather now, a mostly sunny day today with top temperatures of 21 to 26 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
The McPlant. What? 100% vegan? Even the cheese? But how? It can't be. Can it?
It really is. The McPlant from McDonald's, with melt-in-the-mouth vegan cheese, a delicious sesame-seeded bun, vegan mayo and a juicy Beyond Meat patty. It's our iconic taste, plant-based. Served after 11 a.m, subject to availability.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome aboard. Good morning. It is 4 minutes past 9 on this Thursday, the 1st of June. It's the official, in meteorological senses, the first day of summer. And we're starting to get the summer weather. All right, okay, another busy 3 hours for you coming up. We want your views. We want your news too and your opinions. 086 60 25,000. The lines are open for you right now. Caroline, as always, taking your texts and calls, as is Niamh. And don't forget to give us a call if you wish on 07491 25,000. And emails come into us, comments at highlandradio.com. A bumper morning, as it is a Thursday, for newspapers. We'll start with the Tyrconnell Tribune this morning. Any threat to cull Ireland's cow numbers by 200,000 will signal the end of the road for suckler farmers, and it will make the future of the rural countryside unsustainable. That's the view of Joe Sweeney, chair of the IFA in Donegal. While the proposal has been described as a briefing document by government sources, angry farmers say this mindset's typical of the thinking of officials in the Department of Agriculture. And I listened to, and I can only listen, as you would know, to an interview with Charlie McConnell not so long ago, and he seemed to give the impression, if I'm not reading the room incorrectly, that farmers were all for this, that they were chomping at the bit. Well, Mr. Sweeney said that any suggestion that this plan is part of the consideration for the future of Irish farming is deeply disappointing at a time when the industry needs the strongest possible backing from government for young people to make farming a career choice. And clearly they're not, because the recent census shows that all industries, there's more people working in them, except fishing and farming. I wonder, is that a coincidence? I don't know. Only 11% of farmers are classified as being under 30 years of age, according to a farm survey published last year. There were 130,000 odd employed in the business, with 9,197 under the age of 35. Half of farmers had a standard output equal or less than 13,566. On to the Donegal news. And the man who was killed in a tragic workplace incident in Gweedore will be laid to rest tomorrow. Stephen Montgomery, just 43, of Ballymore, Dunfanaghy, who was married with one daughter, was killed in a workplace incident involving an explosion at Bloody Foreland on Monday afternoon. His funeral service will be held in his family home at Ballymore tomorrow at 12 noon, with burial afterwards in Ballymore graveyard. On Monday afternoon, Gardaí evacuated the area after an explosion, and the Irish Defence Forces explosives ordnance disposal were called in. It is believed Mr. Montgomery was operating machinery while breaking rock on the site when the explosion occurred, and it's the subject to a full investigation, I presume, and I'm sure, to determine the full cause. Again, we're thinking on the family and friends this morning, and his work colleagues as they prepare for that funeral. The Donegal Democrat this morning: momentum is mounting to restore Donegal's 6-seater single constituency status. That's the overwhelming message from the 22 submissions received by the Electoral Commission in relation to its task of shaping the future makeup of Dáil constituencies. The big question was the reunification to come up time and time again was the southern part of the county with its natural hinterland, the rest of Donegal into one constituency. Outgoing Fine Gael TD Joe McHugh was the only Donegal Oireachtas member to make a submission, although the Fianna Fáil Donegal Gahirla Dáil Canther Office Board also made a contribution. Other Oireachtas members in this area to contribute were independent TD for Sligo Leitrim Marion Harkin, Fine Gael TD for the same area Frank Fagan, and former Fianna Fáil, now independent TD Mark McSharry. This is the first review of constituencies carried out by the Electoral Commission established under the Electoral Reform Act 2022. Do you have a view on that? Do you believe that Donegal should be restored to a single 6-seater county? Not many people actually had their say by way of the Electoral Commission, just 22, and quite a few of those with skin in the game, so to speak. Maybe it's not something that vexes people anymore. The Derry News this morning tells us that former Celtic and Derry City footballer Patrick McCourt was yesterday found guilty at Derry Magistrates Court of a charge of sexual assault on a female on January 30th last year. McCourt, who's 39, of Wheatfield Court in Muff, County Donegal, had contested one charge of sexual assault on a female where it was alleged someone had put their hand up her skirt in a nightclub. The Farmers Journal this morning, a world first genotype cattle tagging scheme will open for farmer applications later this month. The 5-year scheme is anticipated to cost 83 mil, with 23 million of Brexit Adjustment Reserve funding to fully cover implementation costs in the first year of the programme. Year 1 will target 800,000 cattle. All calves born to genotyped cows will also need to be genotype tagged in the following 4 years. And effectively, every animal in the country, we will have their genetic makeup, which presume it's advantageous for breeding and for tracing and all that type of stuff. It's a lot of money, though, isn't it? The Irish Independent this morning: older workers should face sharp increases in PSI now in order to fund their retirement and defuse a looming pensions time bomb, the head of the country's fiscal watchdog has said. In the wake of new census data showing that the country's growing population is getting older, Sebastian Barnes, chair of the Irish Fiscal Advisory Council, said large tax increases now would avoid having to levy even larger ones in the future on a smaller working population. You're taxing these people before they retire. If you don't do it now, you miss that opportunity. It is a big group of people. I don't want to pay any extra tax. What I want to do is live long enough to retire, and then all the new young people to pay more tax and make sure I've got a good pension. That's what I would like. And I want a referendum to make sure that's happening. I don't want to pay any more tax, and I believe it should be my children that pay extra tax so that I am in any way comfortable in my retirement. 086 60 25,000. Do you agree? The government has committed to small and gradual increases to employee and employers, and that's while they're paying off the national debt as well. They can pay that off at the same time. The government has committed to small and gradual increases to employee and employers' PSI in order to fund future pensions, having already rejected the Pension Commission recommendation to gradually increase the retirement age from 66 to 68 by 2039. But and I'll read about it later in a later article. I think it's one I selected. The reality is though, it is probably going to be hard to hold the retirement age at the mid-60s because, and as I say, I'll read the article, I think, in a moment. The children born this week are very likely to live to 100. They are very likely to, which is great, isn't it? Because of better outcomes. And who's to say with artificial intelligence we could live forever? I don't know. Unlikely. But anyway, so, you know, your working life is going to be longer and people are going to be healthier. It's going to be very hard. I'm not saying I want it risen, but it's going to be very hard to argue to keep the retirement age at 65, 66 when people are routinely living to 100 years of age, isn't it? I think that's just practical realities of life, that you kind of will have to work longer to pay your way for longer. So we do have to look to the future to some extent, I would imagine. 380 million euro the Department of Housing returned to the Exchequer amid underspends. It's a huge amount of money. How can you phrase almost $500 million? Well over $250 million. This is big money. The Department of Housing had to return more than 380 million to the Exchequer over the last 4 years amid underspends blamed in part on COVID-19 construction stoppages, the Public Accounts Committee will be told. Despite the ongoing housing crisis, the department has struggled to spend its full allocated budget. It was previously reported that it failed to spend more than 1 billion earmarked for housing over the past 3 years. Now, what I don't understand, and I genuinely don't understand, is why this money is not used to provide housing for people in Donegal who are affected by the defective concrete scandal. Why is it not used to provide prefabricated buildings? You know, why return it to the Exchequer? Why is it not? There's a million ways this money could be used really practically to help citizens, and that's even if we accept that what is being spent in a good way. But there's a massive housing crisis all over the place. But just allocate 100 million of that to prefabricated houses for people here in Donegal and ease some stress on people. As I say, it probably doesn't work like that, but perhaps it should work like that. You know, why return the money if it's not spent? Go, right, you know what, we can redirect that and provide modular homes in Donegal for people so that they have a roof over their head and are less stressed or stop penny pinching over the scheme, for crying out loud. If you can't spend the money you're allocated, why are you penny pinching on money that you are going to allocate? Back to this thing about people's life expectancy. It's in the Irish Daily Mail. Children born this week have a good chance of seeing their 100th birthday, a longevity expert has said, because Irish people are living longer than ever before. Dr. Mark Ward, senior researcher with Trinity College's Irish longitudinal study on ageing, was speaking to the Irish Daily Mail as the Census 2022 figures this week showed that the number living to 100 and beyond has risen by a staggering 61% since 2016, from 455 people in 700 to 738. So we are talking about a small group of the population generally. But in just 6 years, the number of people aged over 65 has risen by more than 140,000, which is a much greater number. Dr. Ward said if the trend towards people living longer lives in Ireland continues, children born this year have a really strong chance of living to 100 and beyond. He said, we can't predict whether there will be the natural disasters or another pandemic, but all things being equal, if we have similar improvements in terms of lifestyle and healthcare, we will continue to live longer. Would you like to live that long? I'm sure you would, wouldn't you? 086 60 25,000. Right, okay. The petrol prices, some of them went up yesterday, but they certainly went up at 12 o'clock last night. I wondered, did many of you rush to get your petrol and diesel at the 5-6 cents cheaper it was yesterday in most places compared to today? Well, drivers will face higher prices at the pumps from today as the government excise cuts are reversed for the first time. As fuel prices reached record levels in March 2022, the government announced it would cut excise duty on petrol and diesel in a bid to bring prices down. This was later extended in September's budget. When it announced its cost of living supports in February, the coalition said it would phase out the cuts gradually. So the first cut was phased yesterday. Now, I would say if they worked with us, we probably, because petrol and diesel has come down quite significantly, we could probably absorb, could we, this slight increase? But it's going to go up another 10, 15 cent over the next few months. And I think that's just a bridge too far. I mean, they're making more money off petrol and diesel than they ever did because of it being so expensive. But, you know, work with us a little bit. Meet us halfway. Right, we'll swallow this one, but do us a favour and maybe defer the other ones. I don't know. Right, if you smoke, you might not live as long as someone who doesn't, but you will gain an extra week off work every year. That's how much time smokers spend on cigarette breaks, one working week a year. More than half leave their desks several times a day for a cigarette or to vape. Some take as much as 20 minutes out of their days, but typically it's up to 10. Even at the lower rate, that amounts to 50 minutes a week or nearly 40 hours a year, the equivalent to at least a week's extra holidays. Despite ongoing government and HSE campaigns, nearly 720,000 people in Ireland are currently smokers. And while they're putting their own health at risk, they're also likely to be less productive at work. The poll warns the biggest slackers are Gen Z workers, those born after the mid-1990s, followed by older baby boomer colleagues born between 1946 and 1964. So is there someone in your office getting an extra week's holiday? What do you think? Are you looking over at their desk? 086 60 25,000. I've no one to look at here. Everyone's good. Oh, they're good boys and girls here. And finally, just bow your head and I want you to just reflect for a moment on the struggles of RTE. They are under pressure. The TV licence fee has raked out of your pocket $3.7 billion for RTE over the past 20 years, but the broadcaster insists that it now needs to be reformed if the station is to survive. Figures, well, maybe cut wages, you know, and if they want to move on somewhere else, let them go. That would be one way you could save some money. Figures released by Culture Minister Catherine Martin show that RTE regularly takes in close to €200 million a year out of your pockets for the TV licence fee, yet station bosses admit it's still struggling to remain sustainable. Despite the huge intake, and plus ads, by the way, despite the huge intake, the national broadcaster is losing money and was given 15 million in additional taxpayers' cash last year, on top of 196.2 million it had already received from the TV licence. Now, I could go in there and help them save money because they're losing listeners overall to independent stations and other services. You know, stop paying people so much money, stop throwing money at prizes to try and get people to listen to shows that are dead on their feet, you know, things like that. It wouldn't necessarily balance the books, but it certainly would make it more palatable for the public if you come with your hand out and the begging bowl out. All right, any views on anything there that you've just heard, or if you want to talk about anything yourself, raise it with us. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and text that number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022. The Northwest Opera returned to Angrinnan Theatre this June 2nd and 3rd with the musical comedy Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, with music by Stephen Sondheim and the iconic film adaptation by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp. This chilling tale of revenge will leave you breathless. Book your tickets now at Angrinnan Theatre. Don't miss Sweeney Todd at Angrinnan Theatre, June 2nd and 3rd.
Holiday sunshine. Fly from Derry to Mallorca this July or August with Atlantic Travel in Letterkenny. Save up to 20% with rates not available elsewhere. Also exclusive discounts for parking. Call Atlantic Travel Letterkenny on 91 26193 or visit atlantictravel.ie.
Hiya, I'm Patter the Piggy Bank. Come here, will I tell you what has me tickled pink? We just got a home energy upgrade with significant government grants from SEAI for attic and wall insulation. You name it. Now we can huff and puff and blow outside and we don't feel a thing. Take it from me. With these savings, you'll be on the pig's back in no time. Search SEAI Home Energy Upgrade to reduce your use and your energy bills and discover a new world of comfort.
Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Looking for a flexible, affordable home improvement loan? From your kitchen renovation to getting your garden barbecue ready, B&S Credit Union's Renovate Loan is ready to go. For loans from €5,000 to €70,000, visit our website at bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390, where our dedicated and experienced loans team will be delighted to help you. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time's 22 minutes past 9. We welcome Deputy Thomas Pringle onto the programme. Good morning, Thomas. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
Good. Before we talk about why we invited you onto the programme, just a word from you in relation to the latest speculation as to whether or not Donegal should be a single six-seater county now. I mean, from a personal perspective in Killybegs, I mean, it'd probably be preferable for you if that southern tip of Donegal was part of the county. But more generally speaking, it would make more sense to return us to one county, wouldn't it?
Well, I think so, and if it was based on the county boundaries and that the whole county was included, and it would make sense. But I think that the idea of six-seaters in Ireland is I don't think there ever has been a six-seater. I think while six-seaters are allowed for, I don't think there actually has been any five-seaters as far as they go. And in terms of the established parties, they wouldn't want six-seaters because it's a lot more, they've less control over who gets the last couple of seats. So it looks like that they'll probably go for 2-3-seaters and so in the county, and I don't really know what difference that's going to make in terms of my own circumstances, and I suppose very selfishly I'll be looking at that to see what impact that could have. So when I first got elected Donegal, it was a three-seater in Donegal Southwest, and then they got re-elected again in the five-seater. So, I mean, we just have to take it as it comes and see what it's going to present for us.
But in terms of representation, with all due respect to the TDs elected, I mean, their focus is kind of Sligo-y, if you know what I mean. I think people from Lahey South and across to Pettigo would probably feel, and as I say, this is no disrespect to any of the politicians of whatever party or none they're part of, they would probably feel better represented by someone elected for the rest of South Donegal.
Yeah, I think probably Ballyshannon Bundoran area suffered from the point of view that there wasn't enough votes in that area to elect a TD. So therefore, it kind of was like viewed as being an add-on to Sligo Leitrim, and that made a real problem. And so if it had to happen again in the future, it should be a bigger portion of Donegal.
That's a terrible idea. That's an absolutely rubbish idea. Right, we'll move on before.
Well, I think it is. I mean, that's what would have to happen.
In case anyone from the Electoral Commission is listening. Right. You have said, and I think, it seems pretty obvious now, that it would be impossible for a single person on your medium wage in Donegal to buy a house in this county. That's based on the recent CSO figures. It's quite a depressing fact.
Yeah, that's very depressing. And it's very stark when I knew it was bad, but I didn't think it was quite as bad when you read the actual figures. The CSO showed that Donegal people income is 36.7% lower than Dublin, the national income. And when you look at it, the average income in the county is around about 27,000 euros, which means basically for a single person, 27,000 euros, the most they could expect to get on a mortgage is 89,000 euro. And you won't get anything near a house in Donegal for that kind of money, and that is the problem. And if you do get something for that, it'll need a huge amount of work on it, and which will mean extra money as well. So it just put it in stark contrast what the people of Donegal are facing.
Yeah, and what I thought quite interesting was the level of the amount of single people. It's not something I've ever really given any consideration to as such, but we are talking like a big swathe of the population here. And even if you have a couple, they will still potentially struggle on that income to afford a decent house, because they may likely have children, for example.
Yeah, that's right. And in Donegal context, yes, it would be very difficult for them. And then the rules of how the income is treated in terms of applying for a mortgage and that as well does make it harder for them. And even if you get above the 90,000 euro figure as a couple, you're still looking like, I think for the entire county, when I looked at it, there were 35 houses available for under 100,000. So there's even higher than the 89,000, there's still an awful lot of restricted properties available, and the people just can't get them, and that is the reality.
Because of course, with your salary, there are many other things that have to come out of that as well. Possibly 2 cars because of the rural nature of the county, the associated costs with that. You're likely to be buying a house with poorer insulation, I would imagine, so the additional running cost there and so on and so forth. But what can realistically be done to address that, though? Because, and we've done it before, it was when I built the house, my wages were, I can't remember what it was. I think it was about 16 or 17 or 18,000. It was something like that. But you could build a house key in the door for 60,000. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that was I remember that being an expensive quote at the time. So even though wages now are considerably higher than that, the multiple of your annual salary to actually get the cheapest of a new house it's completely different. It's apples and oranges now.
Yeah, it changed a huge amount in the last while, and that is the problem. And there's a number of different issues in relation to it. I think the availability of workers and actually housing construction and stuff like that there pushes up the cost as well. The fact that there isn't the amount of people available to actually work at building houses, so therefore the cost of houses goes up as well. That has to be looked at. Definitely the amount of income that people are earning has to be looked at as well. And also as well, I think what has to be looked at and what has to be addressed is the amount of properties available for people to rent as well, because that puts an extra burden on people, because I've come across quite people who've had to move home because they're unable to find a property to rent. But yet, if you look anywhere at all or step outside, you're tripping over Airbnbs all around the place. And that is something that we have to get the balance of right as well.
Yeah, well, last time you were on this program, you were effectively, I don't think I'm misquoting you, was unapologetically, effectively saying tax people who put their properties up for Airbnb out of the market.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what the government has to do. But I also, what I said was that what should be a tax benefit for having your property as a long-term let as well. That so basically a lower tax income tax level for people maybe who have a property and they rent it to somebody on a long-term rental, and that way they use the tax.
But Thomas, is that not an overreach? Okay, these are people who maybe have a distrust of banks or whatever. They've invested in a house. Maybe they inherited it. It's their property. It's their bricks and mortar on their land. And you're asking or taxing those people to coerce them into doing something with their property. And the reason you'd be asking them to do that is because of a failure of successive governments to build enough affordable housing. I mean, does that not contradict your ideology there, that you're looking to tax citizens into forcing them how to use their property to fill the gap left by poor government policy? That's it's not. It doesn't sound right.
Oh, no, it doesn't sound right. And unfortunately, in an emergency situation, that's what we have to do. But, remember that those same citizens are the people who elect that government and elect our governments as well. So, I mean,
that's like saying take your medicine.
No, we all have a responsibility. We live in a society. We don't, and nobody can stand outside it and say that I'm all right, Jack, and to hell with everybody else. And and that's the problem. Like, and what we should do, we do it all the time. Like, I mean, do we have compulsory seatbelts in cars? Because it's safer for people. So you're saying we shouldn't actually put pressure on people to wear seatbelts?
But this is their own property. What's next? That you can go into someone's house and take half the food out of their fridge and give it to someone else because you know what I mean. Where does it end if you're looking for the public to fix government problems? Like, where does it end?
It ends when everybody's looked after, and when we can be sure that people have a house and that they can have somewhere to live, and that people won't end up homeless. But yet we have Airbnbs tripping over ourselves. It ends when that's the case, and when everybody is looked after and everybody has what they need, then the additional can go on. And if people want to have their properties in Airbnb, that's okay. But I think they should pay a higher tax rate for having that, because we all have an obligation for a public good, and we all have an obligation to each other and to the society to make sure that everybody can live. And I think
we do. But the Airbnb sector is also contributing significantly here, because we've got 50% capacity taken out of our hotels, right? For an example, at the moment, because the public are doing their bit to help with the refugee crisis. Airbnbs are actually probably really, really helping the Donegal economy. The reason our income is so low, perhaps, is because there's so many 8 or 9, 10,000 people involved in hospitality where the wages are low. I mean, if it wasn't for the Airbnb, where would our tourists be staying? Do you know what I mean? Like, how many times can you go back to the public and say, look, okay, your business is banjats because you live to a hotel, beside a hotel that has no tourists anymore. If you then wanted to try and make a bit of income off a house that you had, no, we're going to tax that out as well because we need that house for someone else. Like, where does it all end? I mean,
I'm not saying that people shouldn't make income out of the houses. And if you listen to what I said, Greg, I actually said that people should get a tax benefit from putting a house in a long-term rental. So it would be more attractive for people to have their houses as a long-term rental rather than have it as an Airbnb. And I think that is a perfectly acceptable solution for an emergency situation which we're in at the minute. And yes, there is a need for people to have holiday accommodation and stuff like that there. But alongside all that, we still have thousands of holiday homes available in the county that could be used for that purposes. But also as well that I don't want to have tourists here and have homeless people on the streets as well. And
but there's 380 million euro there's 380 million euro that has been handed back the Exchequer from the Department of Housing. Why not say, right, why don't we start actually properly building modular homes for people up here? Say, for instance, if they need to move out of the micro or the defective concrete block affected homes, that would take some pressure off the rental market, you know. And also, too, for some people, they don't want the hassle of long-term rent. Someone comes in, stays for 2 or 3 nights, out they go, they clean the house and on again. You know the potential. Being a long-term landlord now is a dirty industry, it seems, in this country. You know the hassles and what have you that goes along with that. And if you decide to do something else with your property, you can't, because you can't. It's very difficult to move tenants on.
No, that's not actually the case, Greg. I think that's a lot of that. Some of that is true, yes, there's no doubt about it. There is some instances where that's the case. But the reality is, Greg, and you, I think you know, you sounded like myself when you were talking there about the modular homes and stuff like that there. I've been raising this in the Dáil, and the government doesn't want to know. The same government doesn't want to know that it won't provide houses for people and won't provide.
Yes, but it's almost as if you've given up on that because the government will not be cracked on it, right? Wait till I finish. It's not an insult to you. It's almost as if, right, okay, they're not going to do that. So what we're going to do is start taxing people on their own private properties, their own residence, to fix the housing crisis that way. Now, maybe it's a two-stranded approach, right? But surely the focus should be on pressing the government to fix the problems that successive governments have created, rather than putting our hands into the pockets of people who perhaps had a distrust of banks, as I said before, and invested in property or what have you. And this sounds like I'm lobbying for. I have nothing, by the way. I have my house, and I still have a mortgage to pay on it. So there's nothing in this for me, by the way, just to be absolutely clear. But you know, this again, these are all government problems, not the general public problems.
Yeah, but what you fail to realise, Greg, is that who is the government? The government is elected by the people of Ireland to represent and to provide.
Yeah, but but people have done it. But people have done it. People have done.
You can't divorce yourself from the responsibility.
People elected you, Thomas, right? And you had the opportunity to go into government, and you decided not to.
Yeah, because the government would not.
Which way you want? So
because the government would not reflect the needs of. Would you be happy if I was in government than this type of government now?
Yeah, but you're blaming people for electing the government. Yes, but it's almost an a la carte attitude towards democracy. You're blaming people who elected the government, right? No, but they elected you, and you could have gone into government, and you chose not to.
Yeah, because the government wouldn't provide for the needs of the people as what I've seen, and I would say that I've been proven right because the way this government is behaving. But you can't divorce the people from, and people paying tax from the government and people paying tax from society. We all live in a society, and we have an obligation to make sure that everybody within that society can live, and it's better for us all. And I think it benefits better the people who have Airbnb properties. That if everybody in the county is living properly and living the best life that they can, it'll benefit everybody in the long run, and it actually would bring more tourists here to the county, which would make those Airbnbs more viable as well too. So it would have a benefit all across the board, and that's the difference that it makes. Rather than me saying I'm okay, Jack, and everybody else can go to hell.
Okay, I get you, but I just see a small group of individuals and business people making millions upon millions upon millions in this county, right? And it seems perfectly fine, because through the refugee and immigration crisis, and yet here we are trying to fix a problem of homelessness, and it's taxing people on their own private property. But I respect your view, and I've just been told that you've a vote at 9:30. I was told that at 9:37. So,
well, the question coming up.
Well, whatever it might be. My apologies, Thomas. I appreciate your time and the conversation. Take care of yourself. All right, 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts that number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
New multi-million euro cattle tagging scheme launched. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal how farmers will be incentivised to DNA tag animals. Find out how many farmers applied for the new Suckler scheme in your county. Fears grow that re-wetting plans will devalue farmland. Department moves and hedgerow removal rules. As summer silage sizzles, we examine rising diesel prices. And Ireland leads the way in sustainable farming. Read our exclusive interview with the EU Commissioner for Agriculture.
All in this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. On sale now.
Time is ticking on the sizzling summer sale at Easy Living Furniture. With absolutely everything reduced, now is the time to spruce up your space with stylish furniture and unbeatable savings. From cosy sofas to elegant dining sets, we have the perfect pieces to transform your home. But hurry, this sizzling sale ends this Sunday. Don't miss out on the hottest prices of the season. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
The Donegal Senior Hurlers return to Croke Park this Saturday afternoon. Mickey McCann's Chargers face Wicklow in the Nicky Rackard final at 3 p.m. Follow the action on Highland as Donegal chase a fourth All-Ireland title. Live coverage from the Nicky Rackard final between Donegal and Wicklow is in association with Fuel You Can Trust at Gal Oil Claddybridge, Castlefin. Your one-stop shop for all your fuel needs with top rates given on Sterling.
Get ready for an epic summer with Irwin's Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana. Everything you need to make the most of our Irish summers. From the highly sought after Ninja barbecues to outdoor speakers, Dyson fans, big screen TVs, Bluetooth speakers and small appliances. We've got you covered. Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
All right, some interesting comments coming in off the last conversation debate that we had with Deputy Thomas Pringle. I'll get to those very shortly, but first I want to introduce onto the programme Patricia Casey, who's manager of the National Poisons Information Centre, the NPIC at Beaumont Hospital. Thanks for joining us, Patricia.
Good morning, Greg. It's great to be here.
Yeah, right. June, which we're into now, the NPIC is hosting the No Act Prevent. Talk to us about this, and this is part of actually it's you have a garden at the Board Be a Bloom, which kicks off today, I believe. So, Patricia, talk to us about this this campaign, I suppose, could you call it?
Yes, I mean the reason that we decided to have a show garden at Bloom this year was to help raise awareness about the risks of potential accidental poisoning in the home and the garden, and to give people some information on things that they can do to prevent young children, particularly, from being poisoned accidentally. And we also want to make people aware that the National Poisons Information Service does have an information service for the general public. So if a child does get hold of something and eats or drinks something that might be harmful, the person looking after them can phone us and we can give them advice on what's best to do. So our telephone service operates every day of the year between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. and people can phone us on 01 809 2166. We'll ask a few questions, we'll talk through what's happened with them, and we'll work out what the best thing to do is in their particular situation.
Yeah, and I think it's a good number to have on the fridge door if people still do that, whether you have your own children or you're a grandparent or an auntie or an uncle that has children around, because there are an awful lot of inquiries annually. Now, I mean, there's obviously an awful lot of instances and already a good deal of awareness about this number. I imagine many come through GPs as well and other sort of healthcare settings, but still a lot of inquiries annually.
Yes, we get a little over 10,000 calls each year from a variety of sources, as you said. About half would be from the general public, but then we do get calls from healthcare professionals, from GPs, from hospital staff as well. And about 6,000 of those calls involve children. They're typically the toddlers, children under the age of 3 years, because at that age, children are very active and very curious. They're exploring their world. And parents, anyone who looks after children will tell you whatever they pick up, they put in their mouth. They have no perception of danger. So that can lead to them eating things that might be harmful.
Yeah, and it's almost as you go through life with a toddler that you realise, I mean, there's obvious things like dishwasher tablets and tablets, for your washing machine and what have you. But also, a lot of people would put these sort of liquids around the bowl of their toilet. And toddlers, the first thing they do, they grab that, and it's all very flavourable, and they're all very nicely scented, and they're naturally curious. It's everywhere you look, there's potential danger.
Yes, I mean, it's a good point. Whatever, they are naturally curious, so whatever they can get hold of, there is a chance that they're going to taste it, because that's how they learn about the world. So certainly things like the toilet, the rim blocks, as you said, things like reed diffusers, hand sanitizers, are things that people mightn't think of as well. Disinfectants, any of the multi-purpose cleaners that you have around the house. And then there are things in the garden as well. This time of year, your children might be out in the garden, so it's be important to know what plants you have growing in your garden, just in case something happens. So if you have to get advice, so that you know what the plants are, and be careful with the garden shed. Again, any chemicals, lighter fluids, any kind of gardening products, make sure that they're out of reach, out of sight of children in the shed.
Yes, because I would say quite a few of the calls that you would get as well is that, maybe the child had a small taste of something and the parent gets it off their breath or something, and then the panic sets in. Do you have an idea of how many of the calls require, sort of a referral to a medical setting?
Well, in terms of the calls about children, about 1 in 5 of the calls that we get, we would send into hospital because they would need observation and medical assessment. And those children, the most common things that we would be referring them in for would be the laundry detergent capsules, paracetamol-containing medicines, the reed diffusers, and hand sanitizers.
So, I mean, what is the advice? Is it as simple as, put locks on your cupboards, make sure these things aren't within easy reach, even, if, a child will, at some point will learn to drag a chair. That's just a fact, because they'll see something on a shelf and they'll go, I want that. There's a chair, and I can become taller. So is it a case of just looking around and making sure things are locked away and out of reach?
Locked away out of reach in a high press or a press with a child lock on it. But remember, no child lock is going to be 100% impenetrable. There are children who work out how to open them, but they are going to hopefully slow them down, make it harder for them to get hold of these products, so that you have a better chance of spotting what they're doing and getting to them before they get to the point where they're going to eat or drink something that you don't want them to get hold of.
And just finally, and it kind of ties into the Bloom side of things, a lot of what we talk about often through these pieces, it is things like that we buy from shops and bring into the home. How do we find out, what's in our garden and what potential danger it could offer to children, like in terms of plants or naturally occurring stuff?
In terms of the plants, there are good resources online. We've put information up on our website, listing some low toxicity plants. If you're thinking about, what to put in your garden, these would be plants that wouldn't cause serious problems if a child was to eat them. They might have a little bit of a tummy upset. They might feel sick or they might vomit a little bit, but it wouldn't cause any life-threatening. They won't cause any life-threatening problems. So that list is on our website, which is poisons.ie. We also have some information on the more toxic plants. So again, if you're planting, maybe think about avoiding them, or at least making sure that they're not accessible to children if you have children playing in your garden. Again, supervision, just keep an eye on the children. But when they get a little bit older, you can talk to them and just make the point and repeat the point to them to always check with the grown-up before they eat something that's growing in the garden. Particularly if they're used to picking berries with you, they might think that any berry they see is okay to eat. So have that conversation with them and have it on a regular basis, that it's always best to check before you eat something that you find in the garden, whether it's something growing or something that's lying on the ground.
And it's about educating them as when it's age appropriate. It's not instilling fear. We don't want to wrap our children up in bubble wrap, but it's just to let them explore, but teach them how to explore safely and also to supervise them.
Absolutely. You've really hit the nail on the head there. We want them out. We want them exploring and enjoying their gardens. And there are things that people can do to make sure that there's very few risks in those environments, so that they can let them out, let them have fun, still keeping an eye on them, but you've done your best to make sure they're not going to come any too near.
Okay, Patricia Casey, thank you very much indeed. Patricia is manager of the National Poisons Information Centre, and sometimes we do have to check ourselves, don't we? And that we provide information on programmes like this is to inform us and to double check things and what have you between that, or, we do awareness about ticks and things like that as well for very good reason. But we also want to make sure, and I'm kind of speaking to myself at the same time as the parent of a toddler, that we don't get so fearful that something could happen to them that we inhibit them, or that we sort of take away that natural bit of exploration that they have and wanting to visit and learn about the world and stuff. Right, okay, let us take a break and I'll come back then with comments on our next guest. I just want to say a quick good morning to Marie, Paul, Annie, Audrey, Beth, amongst those of you watching the show on our social media and our website. You're very welcome along. And just to remind you that you can watch the programme in its entirety every day and get subtitles, by the way, if that would benefit you, by going to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, on your phone, tablet, laptop, smart TV. Most TVs, as I say, have YouTube built in now, or your Fire Stick or your Google Box, whatever it might be. And we're also across Facebook as well, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport. And there's a watch live link on our website.
Over recent months, we've all been dealing with the reality of rising energy costs, and we've all been making changes to reduce our energy use. However, if you are having trouble paying your energy bills, be sure to talk to your supplier as soon as possible. There are a range of protections in place for customers. Organisations such as MABS and Alone can also help. For information on these and all other supports available, visit gov.ie/reduce your use. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
New multi-million euro cattle tagging scheme launched. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal how farmers will be incentivised to DNA tag animals. Find out how many farmers applied for the new suckler scheme in your county. Fears grow that re-wetting plans will devalue farmland. Department moves and hedgerow removal rules. As summer silage sizzles, we examine rising diesel prices. And Ireland leads the way in sustainable farming. Read our exclusive interview with the EU Commissioner for Agriculture.
All in this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. On sale now.
232. Three simple numbers. But for Audi, they signify more. More innovation and excitement. An invitation to experience progress you can feel. And a shift in mindset to greater expectations. Like the competition edition on the Audi A4 and A5 S-Line models. All part of our 232 range. Discover how progress makes you feel in a 232 Audi. And book a test drive today.
Let's call out his name. Anish Tractor Run Malin, Sunday 4th of June. Live charity auction plus barbecue with Pig on the Spit. Live music from 6 p.m. with Mike Denver and his band, Jim Devine, Liam McDermott and Shani Crampsey. Proceeds to the Donegal Hospice, Huey's Corner and the Intellectual Disability Play Area in Carndona. That's Sunday 4th of June. Anish Tractor Run with entertainment live in the marquee at Malin Stables. This ad is kindly sponsored by Millbrook Joinery Malin.
Now, a new survey has suggested that the rise in the cost of living is having a significant effect on people's holiday plans this year. According to the survey of 2008 people conducted in May 2023 by leading property website myhome.ie, nearly half of prospective home buyers, that's 47%, say they are holidaying different this year because of the cost of living crisis. Joanne Geary is managing director of myhome.ie. And is that the big takeaway stat there, Joanne? Good morning to you.
Morning, Greg. I think this survey was very interesting for us to do. As we can see, the cost of living crisis is having a significant impact, in a number of different aspects of our lives, but now it's also affecting the holiday market. What was interesting to me was, as you say, almost 50% said they're holidaying differently, but 63% of the 2,000 respondents told us that they think that holidaying abroad represents better value than staying in Ireland. And I think we can see that certainly, when you also read about the numbers going through the various airports, over the last number of weeks, that would hold true. And also what we're seeing on the site is that inquiries for holiday homes in particular have been up pretty dramatically in the year. And that's what prompted us to do this survey. So my home would have over 2,600 holiday home rentals listings on the site. And, from various kind of different price points and lots of different choice there. But we're seeing a big increase in inquiries for those holiday homes in Ireland, even though people are generally saying that they would expect that there's better value abroad. They're also telling us that 46% of us are telling us that they would rather rent a holiday home than stay in a hotel. Again, cost savings, cost of living crisis driving that feedback.
And I wonder how much of this is perception and sentiment, if you know what I mean, that in some way someone might feel that they're looking to buy a home, sure, we'll stay in Ireland and have a few days away, when really in reality, as you say, they probably could go abroad for cheaper. Do you know what I mean? I wonder how much of it's researched out and how much of it is sort of when you're in that nesting mode, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think what we can clearly see is people are doing the research, and they're looking for deals and they're looking for that value for money piece. We can certainly see that in terms of stats that we would have on my home in terms of the number of searches and the time on the site that they would spend researching holiday homes on the site. So people are being careful. They're certainly voting with their pockets. They're voting, 63% of them are saying abroad. And they're also voting for holiday homes. And I think generally people would do the research, would stack up, okay, if I'm staying in a holiday home, maybe I can eat in a couple of evenings, I'll be saving some of my hard-earned cash in that respect as well. And especially for families or people travelling in groups, they do tend to prefer, a holiday home solution to their holiday.
Well, it's likely if you go abroad, you're going to stay in an apartment. If you've got a couple of children, even a relatively spacious one, it's awkward living for a week or 10 days. Donegal, one of the top holiday destinations for some people hate this phrase, staycations, or generally right across the tourism industry. It's mostly people travelling within Ireland, is it?
Yeah, I mean, we asked our survey respondents, in Ireland, if they were staying in Ireland, just give us your top 3 preferred locations, and Donegal, Galway and Kerry were the 3. So great to see Donegal up there, obviously a great holiday destination for people. And interestingly, I was looking on the site on my home this morning, and we have 76 holiday homes available to rent in Donegal still at the moment for the summer, and a variety of prices there. I just looked at a few listings actually. So up in the Downings, really nice beach location. You can get a 3-bed chalet rental there during the summer for €639. That looked like good value. Another really nice beachfront property, the Beach House, in Maharorty. I'm not pronouncing that right, I know.
Maharorty, you're not far off it. Go on ahead.
Yeah, okay. So that was €811 for a week. A nice 3-bed family type property, beautifully presented on the site. And really good value, a lovely, quaint, updated cottage in Kincasla for €411 per week. That's a 3-bed. So, people are doing that research. They're seeing the value there, and I just picked those 3 locations because,
it's a good sense.
Just to give you a flavour,
Okay.
Now, there's cheaper than that, there's more expensive than that, depending on what you're after. But good value there, I thought, and certainly a lot of stock, 76 listings, so there should be something for everybody on the site.
All right, Joanne, thanks so much for your time. Joanne Geary, Managing Director of myhome.ie. A caller said here, I'm really upset. My house insurance was €339 last year, and this year I got a quote for €1,374. That's effectively a €1,000 increase. When I rang my bank, they stated that they agreed it was pretty high, but there was nothing they can do and didn't provide me with any excuse, just that it has to be paid. Now, can I say one thing firstly here? The relationship with your bank and who you get your home insurance, get that out of your head. Get onto a website. If you can't, we'll help you. If you want to give us a ring, one of our team will help you here to get a sense of cheaper house insurance there. Lots of people have experienced huge jumps in their house insurance. But if you shop around, you should get close to what you paid for last year. I've done it. I know people around me have done it and others have done it. So A, make sure you know exactly what your rebuild cost would be to your actual rebuild cost, not your value of your house, the rebuild cost. And B, ring around. And if you need a bit of help with that, please get in touch with us and we'll help you, because I don't want you worried for no reason whatsoever. I can't guarantee that you can get cheaper, but it is, unless you've claimed or something, I don't know. Did you make a claim and now you're trapped in on that? If you did, that might be something of a problem. But you say, I've never paid more than €400 for my insurance, so this has greatly upset me and has me worried about my own home and costs. Is anyone else experiencing this? There are a lot of people in the home insurance market. You can shop around. There are websites that you can go on, put in your details, and it'll come back with your best quote. If you haven't made a claim, and if you're still stuck and you need some help with it, please get back in contact with us and we'll try and help. It shouldn't be that high. And as I say, if you haven't made a claim, you should be able to get it much, much cheaper. But I can't guarantee that, but I would hope that that would be the case and could eliminate some of the worry for you. Okay, back with more after the news and obituary notices.
Hi, I'm at the Garda station, but it's nothing. I told this girl I was seeing for a while that I'd put shots of her up online. Shots she sent me, so they're mine, really. I only said I'd do it, but the guards are saying that's a crime now. It's not my fault, Mum. I didn't do anything. I only said I would.
Threatening to share intimate images is a crime with serious consequences. Contact your local Garda station if you need to report it. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Why did I choose Ulster? I wanted a university who could give me the biggest possible future, but also the best possible time now. Somewhere I could make friends and have good crack, but also to set me up for the best job possible. I'm planning to take up one of the study abroad options, and then my big plan is to specialise in media law in LA. But for now, NI has one of the lowest student living costs in the UK. So, night markets, here I come.
Learn why over 30,000 students choose Ulster at ulster.ac.uk/go north. Apply now for this September.
Planning on renovating your garden this summer? Then look no further than Daleside Garden Furniture. With a full range of sizes and garden sheds, wooden and steel, summer houses, playhouses, outdoor canopies, fencing and much more. Find us on social media. Made to measure and one-off designs are our speciality. Call today on 087 112 4766.
Recently engaged and planning your wedding? If so, the Encourage Summer Wedding Showcase takes place this June Bank Holiday Monday from 12 till 6. Come along and view our stunning wedding venue and meet our dedicated wedding team this Bank Holiday Monday at Encourage Hotel.
Is your home or motor insurance up for renewal? Now is the time to check if your policy still offers you the right cover and the right fit at the right price. To be sure you're getting the best deal, take this opportunity to shop around. It's easier than you think. Simply contact your insurer or broker today. Remember, don't just renew, review. For more information, visit understandinginsurance.ie. Brought to you by Insurance Ireland.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The Dáil has been told that it would be impossible for a single person on the median wage in Donegal to buy a house in the county. Deputy Thomas Pringle told TDs that based on recent CSO figures, which show Donegal still has the lowest income in the state, he sat down with some mortgage calculator programmes and started looking at estate agents to see what could be bought. Deputy Pringle says his findings were stark.
The median Donegal weekly wage translates to €26,889 per annum. A single person on this wage, with no dependents and no monthly outgoings at all, may be eligible for a mortgage of €89,000. I looked to see how many homes were for sale in the entire county of Donegal. 35 were available for under €100,000. 4 were available for under €75,000. And I'm sure there's no stretch of the imagination to picture how derelict and unfit for habitation these 4 would be without considerable renovation and expenditures.
A Letterkenny Milford Municipal District Councillor says he's flabbergasted after Ishka Aaron told him that the water supply at Rossbracken Manor Cunningham did not make the cut for inclusion in the 2023 mains rehabilitation programme and that there are no plans to replace mains in the area this year. Councillor Jerry McMonigal says there needs to be more accountability and that he will be pursuing the matter at the highest level. He says given that there have been 2 outages in the past 7 days alone, he's questioned what needs to be done in order for work to be carried out.
I sent an email off requesting that information, what needs to happen for an area to make the cut, as they put it. I'll take it as high as I can get it within Irish Water, but I think there needs to be some government intervention here. Someone has to be able to hold Irish Water to account, and that needs to happen very, very quickly.
A post-mortem will be carried out today on the body of a young man who died in a jet ski accident in County Clare. The body of the 19-year-old was recovered from the water of Lough Derg, close to the bridge at Killaloe last night. 2 girls were also on the jet ski when it flipped over. However, they were wearing life jackets and managed to make it to the shore with the help of bystanders. Cahirlock of Clare County Council, Councillor Tony O'Brien, says the young man was a visitor to the area.
Our thoughts and prayers are definitely with his family and his friends and everybody that knows him at this sad time. It's a terrible, terrible time for them. I believe he was just a visitor, and that would be quite common. We do have a lot of visitors to the area who would launch their crafts either in Ballina or at Ballycuggan, where there are slipways available for them.
The Cahirlock of the Inisho Municipal District has described works approved for Newton Cunningham as a game changer. Donegal County Council has given the go-ahead for works as part of the town's Main Street Active Travel project. Improvement and upgrade works are to be carried out and traffic calming measures installed. Councillor Paul Canning says once complete, Newton Cunningham will hugely reap the benefits.
The street is very long and a lot of vehicles use it because anybody's coming from Derry through the Killaloe road will come through Newton, and there's a lot of vehicles in that street. We have about 6 raised tables, they call them, that will slow down the traffic. This system is also to encourage people to walk more than in the vehicles, and also a lot of the footpaths are getting widened to suit people going to school.
Farmers say they're worried re-wetting plans will lead to land values being slashed. The EU wants Ireland to start saturating peatland to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It's part of the Nature Restoration Law, which hopes to restore at least 20% of the EU's damaged land and sea areas by 2030. But the Irish Natura and Hill Farmers Association says re-wetted peatlands could result in the market price of upland and bog falling dramatically. Declan O'Brien, news correspondent with the Irish Farmers Journal, says farmers are worried about who would want to buy flooded lands.
There's going to be a devaluing of the asset value of the farmers' lands that are selling now for 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 an acre. They will go back in value. How far back they will go, nobody knows. But who's going to want to own a bog outside of the state potentially that is effectively re-wet?
Weather now, a mostly sunny day today with cloud clearing this afternoon. Top temperatures of 21 to 26 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, June the 1st. The death has occurred of Leanne Marie Stapleton in Greensboro, North Carolina, USA, formerly Kilclooney, Portneuf, County Donegal. Her remains will repose at her family home in Kilclooney from 2 o'clock until 9 o'clock today and tomorrow. Funeral from there on Saturday morning at 10:30 to St Connell's Church, Kilclooney for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in the Old Abbey Cemetery, Donegal Town. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desired to the Kevin Bell Repatriation Fund, care of any family member. Leanne's funeral mass can be viewed live on Chauvelin's Funeral Home Facebook page. The death has occurred in her 106th year of Rosie Keeney, née McGlade, late of Parkview House Care Home, Castlederg, and formerly of Hawthorne Park at Castlederg, reposing at Lynch's Funeral Home, Castlederg. Removal from the funeral home this afternoon at 2:45 to arrive at St Patrick's Church, Castlederg at 3 o'clock to repose overnight. Requiem Mass will be celebrated tomorrow at 12 noon, interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The death has taken place of Mary Herity, née Bradley, Castle Park, Buncrana. Remains reposing at her residence. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 9:30, going to St Mary's Oratory, Buncrana for 10 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in Cockhill Cemetery. The service can be viewed online at churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or McLaughlin and McLaughlin Funeral Directors. The death has occurred of Danny Melly, Farragon's Letchermack Ward. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral Mass this morning at 11 o'clock in St Bridget's Church, Letchermack Ward, with interment afterwards in the Old Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations if desired to the Intensive Care Unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Sean McGlynn, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Alice Brew, née McHugh, Old Cartron, Sligo, and late of Frosses, County Donegal. Reposing at Sean Feely's funeral home, Cartron Cross, Sligo, from 7:30 this evening. Removal at 8:30 to St Joseph's Church, Ballytivnin, Sligo. Mass of the Resurrection at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. Burial afterwards in Sligo Cemetery. Funeral Mass will be live streamed on churchtv.ie. Family home private, please. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu of desire to the North West Hospice Fund or the Irish Heart Foundation, care of Sean Feely's Funeral Home, Sligo. And the death has taken place of Stephen Montgomery, Ballymore, Dunfanaghy. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral service in his family home at Ballymore tomorrow at 12 noon. Burial afterwards in Ballymore Graveyard. Family time, please, from 10 o'clock until 11 o'clock. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or James Harkin Funeral Directors. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
They might have been your best buddies since you were babies. They might be the only one who knows about that thing you did. They might be your boo, your homegirl, your muchacho, but you've just got 6 deliciously crisp chicken McNuggets. So you have to ask yourself, are they McNugget worthy? Served after 11 a.m, subject to availability.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
You're very welcome back to the programme. I just want to let you know that the Lifford Health Centre GP surgery phone lines are down. This due to an internet outage. The surgery can't make or accept calls at the moment. Should you need to reach them, please contact the following mobile number. It's 087 064 4316. So the landline for the Lifford Health Centre GP surgery is down at the moment. A caller says, I used Chill Insurance comparison website. I was given 6 or 7 different quotes and saved myself €630. My quote was 980 and I paid 350, and that sounds about right. So for that person that was stressed out about an extra €1,000 for bill, please go on to a comparison website. And as I say, it's possible you don't have access to the internet. If we need to help you to relieve that stress on you in terms of searching or helping you in some way or other, please get back in contact with us. But you should be able to save money shopping around, and maybe even possibly save money on what you were paying last year. Paul McLaughlin of Ballochdur Garden Centre is taking your gardening questions after 11. So we're in the full swing of things now. No fear of frost or anything like that. But we're in a drier spell of weather. There's not going to be rain now. There hasn't been for a week, and there's no rain forecast for another 10 days. So that creates a different set of problems potentially in the garden and around it, on your window sills, inside your apartment or your flat, or on your little balcony, whatever it might be. Any questions for Paul McLaughlin, get them into us now, if you don't mind, to 086 60 25,000. And the reason being, I want to be able to answer every question that comes in. A caller said, I priced a hotel in Ireland. The expense is crazy. The choice of hotels has been restricted because many of them are used to house refugees. I can go to Thailand paying €600 for flights and €130 for a hotel. A hotel here wants €840 for 2 nights. Another wants €600 for the Friday and €700 for the Saturday. Now, the bottom line is at that price, hotels are not an option. Who could or would pay €600 for a bed? And that's effectively what a hotel is, isn't it? You get out of the bed and you bang your knees off the cupboard where you're supposed to put your clothes, but you never put them in there because you can't afford to stay there any longer. And you know, the tea made or whatever it might be called, you know, it's ridiculous. Like I've said this before, and you know, maybe people think I'm tight, I don't know, but I can't find it in my heart to pay any more than 200, and that would be an absolute once off for a concert in Dublin or something. I don't know how people can fund hotel stays for €840 for 2 nights. My mortgage is up €300 since last year, yet my wages have remained the same. Is that €300 a month? If it is, that's €3,600 of a pay cut effectively, because you don't pay down the capital any quicker. That's just extra interest payments. It's like dead money. It's crazy, isn't it, that the system, but that's the way it is. A caller says, if you rent out a house full time, the house deteriorates and you have to pay for repairs. Tenants have rights and you cannot get the house back if they don't pay rent. It's more hassle than short-term renting. Thomas is wrong in thinking of making the people do the government's job. Donegal is dependent on tourism, yet the hotels are full of refugees. Well, they're half full in Donegal. If you remove tourism, people will lose their jobs. Hands off private property, they say. Another, hi Greg, I don't think it's fair that tax has to be paid on inheritance gifts, especially a house where tax was already paid on building materials and property tax, etc. Sometimes the person inheriting has to sell because they cannot afford the tax. Yes, indeed. You will get someone who is gifted a plot of land and the tax could be 60, 90,000 euro. They don't have anything and they can't accept the land. Prices in Ireland. You can have a week in Glasgow City Hotel for the same cost as a weekend in Sligo. Ireland is a rip-off, they say. Another, hi Greg, totally agree with your sentiments about higher tax for Airbnb. The public have to pay the price for government failures to provide public housing. They're to blame for it. It was our own fault for electing them. Such a statement. It's the same old story. Fair play for sticking it to Thomas Pringle. And it's any elected politician, they're in a position and, we'll question them, and it's a healthy debate. Greg, mentioned to Thomas Pringle, what next? Will the government be allowed to come into your house and take half the food in your fridge? Well, the new housing referendum wording will potentially allow the government to take you out of your house where it's deemed to be more than your needs. I hope people understand this. This is not government. You know, there's a lot of people in government against this. This is a proposal that stalled, as far as I'm aware, from People Before Profit. This is not actually government legislation. As I say, I think they're trying to actually block this legislation, but I noticed in some Telegram channels and elsewhere, unless I'm very much mistaken, it's been shared as a government policy to effectively to be able to take your house off you. But my understanding is it's just a motion from People Before Profit, and there is little to zero appetite in government for this. But anyway, I'll read on. The new housing referendum wording will potentially allow the government to take you out of your house where it's deemed to be more than your needs, transfer you to a smaller property and give it to a resident of the country. Not a citizen, a resident. That's the type of lunacy that makes up the government ethos in its duty of care to citizens. Again, I'm going to dig into that. My understanding is that's an opposition party proposition and one the government is not in agreements with. Oh my God, Greg, I can't believe what I'm hearing this morning. I wonder, does himself have extra property? He has a nerve. Is there not enough tax on people, i.e. property tax? We all have to pay this. The government needs to get a grip and sort the housing problems. This is going on for years and years, and yet the government did no checks, proper checks and assessments in the quarries. And look where that has left poor people that can't afford to pay big money to mend the situation. This has left a complete and utter mess in housing the way it stands. Homelessness is a big, mega mess. The poor people of Ireland, again, to sort out government problems. And it's just important to note that the level of homelessness in the Northwest here, any person homeless is one too many, is actually on the decline. It declined month on month. The homelessness crisis is countrywide, of course, but it is primarily centred on Dublin. And the rate of homelessness per 100,000 people in Donegal is much lower. There has been a slight increase. Do you know what? While I'm here, I might, rather than pontificating off the top of my head, I'll give you the statistics here. The level of homelessness in Donegal and the Northwest has decreased month on month by 8. It increased by 67, though, over a year. 60% of homeless people in Ireland are Irish, by the way. Again, I thought that an interesting statistic. I don't know what it means. But the rate of homelessness in the northwest here is approximately, for every 100,000 people in the population, 106 are homeless. Now, that figure might not take into consideration those who are bunking in someone else's house or couch surfing, but that's the actual statistics for this area. For every 100,000 people, 106 are homeless, and there has been a slight decrease month on month on the level of homeless. Now, I'm not in any way trying to say there's not a problem. I'm just so there's I do like to sort of put facts out there in case it helps. Hi, Greg. Have one beside me. This must be an Airbnb. No planning for these, and had a party of 15, partying all night. Lovely. That comes in from Oisin. Yeah, okay. I totally agree on a crackdown on Airbnb houses. The one next to me was converted into 2 flats, and from Thursday night to Monday morning, it's a party house. Well, you see, that's how they're running their Airbnb as well, because you can put in rules and regulations. And I think because there's a person next to you who's effectively running a party house in the weekend, is that justification for a crackdown on everyone that's providing Airbnb accommodation? It would seem like an overreaction. I think that needs to be looked at, and call the guards as well. You're entitled to your peace and sleep, you know. Greg, use water from your dryer in your steam iron slot. Keep it in a bottle, no problem with brown blobs. Then your clothes when ironing. I'm lucky enough that I have good water and I don't have that problem. But okay, thank you. I'll pass that on to Lee Gooch because he has a problem with brown spots. Thomas is an on the fence man, says the listener. The problem here is the people did not elect this government. It's proportional representation, and as I say, a lot of people elected independents. And they chose not to go into government to try and affect change from within for their own reasons, and they get elected or deselected on those grounds. A caller says, I don't have property to rent, but I don't think it's fair to punish people using their property for Airbnb. It's less headaches and cost for the owners. Another, fair play, holding the Irish government to account and asking Mr. Pringle the difficult questions. The Irish government's answer to absolutely everything is up the tax, and people are sick of it. And I heard this morning, even in a country that we're the 26th most wealthy country in the world, can you believe that? Or the strongest economy. And we know there's this separation between us here on the ground and where this money is. We don't feel it, do we? We don't see it in our services. We don't see it in the housing. We don't see it in health. That's the truth. I don't think I'm saying anything controversial here. Yes, there's been great advances in certain areas. A lot of work to do. But IBEC are saying now is the time to increase taxes on people. And we've got calls in the paper today to tax older people more because God forgive them for living longer and want to retire and actually have some time to themselves when they're not breaking the back. So we've got this situation where the country has never been richer, we're told. A lot of things have never been worse. And we have organisations and think tanks calling for tax now, extra tax now. It's crazy. We're all paying extra for our petrol and diesel this morning. Why? The government made more money on petrol and diesel over the last year than it had in previous years because the price was high, and they get more VAT from that. This is just this it's like living in an alternative universe. I'm disabled and I have no income, says this listener. I plan to rent my house on Airbnb to make some money over the summer. Why does Thomas Pringle want to reduce my potential only income? Build social housing? Hands off mine, they say. And on they come in. Right, let's take a break for the bingo numbers. We'll be back shortly.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 1st of June, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €17,500 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S9. It's game number 22. The jackpot number is 39. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 43, 78, 27, 34, 71, 88, 1, 42, 82, and finally 66. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
New multi-million euro cattle tagging scheme launched. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal how farmers will be incentivised to DNA tag animals. Find out how many farmers applied for the new Suckler scheme in your county. Fears grow that re-wetting plans will devalue farmland. Department moves and hedgerow removal rules. As summer silage sizzles, we examine rising diesel prices. And Ireland leads the way in sustainable farming. Read our exclusive interview with the EU Commissioner for Agriculture.
All in this week's Irish Farmer's Journal, on sale now.
Mick Flavin, 50 years in country music show at the Mount Derrigal Hotel Letterkenny on Monday the 12th of June with special guests Philomena Begley, Ray Lynham, Declan Ernie, Shuni Crampsey and Patsy Kavanagh. Tickets now on sale from the Mount Derrigal Hotel on 074 9122 700.
Shop LK at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. New, fresh colours in women's sportswear from Nike and Under Armour. Get that new look with some bright colours. Quarter zips with t-shirts and fitness bottoms. Match it up with some new arrivals in our footwear for women. Brooks, Hoka and On Running gives you a unique comfort sensation. View our new arrivals. Click on bmcsports.ie for your free delivery.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. We welcome onto the programme now the founder of website autismdad.ie, John Joe McGinley. Good to have you back on the show. John Joe, thanks for taking the time out.
Well, good morning, Greg, and good morning to all your listeners, and thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Right, okay, we're going to be talking about July provision now, and we'll talk specifically about the situation that you're encountering, but I want to widen the conversation so that everybody understands it, and if other parents and guardians are affected, that they can get involved in the conversation. So, as best you can, John Joe, describe to us what the July provision is.
July provision is something that's given to children with additional needs. And my boy, I've got two boys with autism, and the eldest boy, James, was applying for the July provision. He's had it every year from school. What happens is at the end of the school year, they are normally allocated 2 weeks of additional school support. This is provided by a special needs assistant or a teacher who can then help them transition from that period of adjustment into the school holidays, which can be a major impact for children on the autism spectrum who rely on that routine.
Okay, so the end of the school term would be seen like as a cliff edge, and this is a period of time to transition to the where things change, routine change. They're not going to school for the rest of the summer holidays.
And it's also to help build on some of the weaker aspects that they may have within their educational or even their social makeup. It can be about focusing on a specific thing like maths. It could also be about just to socialise the child, to help. And the other thing is it's a bit of a respite for the parents as well. But I think the key aspect for it is it's something that has been very, very beneficial for children with additional needs, especially autism. It helps with that socialisation. It can also, in a more one-to-one environment, give them that little boost in certain areas of weakness that can be discussed in advance with parents, teachers, and then it's all about getting the right person to help them, be it through socialisation or even through that additional educational requirement.
Okay, so who makes
so reliant on parents?
Sorry, John Joe. Who makes the call then? Is it the school? Is it the Department of Education? Is this like something you have to apply for and it's allocated, or is it at the discretion of the school principal and their staffing resources? So, and as I say, we'll get to your specific case shortly, but I just want to get a broader understanding of.
It's a combination of all three. What schools can, especially the junior schools, can actually provide 2 weeks in-house. So again, it's a transition for the children. They're in an environment that they're very well used to. But also as the children get older, and also if the school doesn't have the facilities to provide the July provision in-house, you can apply for in-home July provision, where you can apply to the Education Department for that 2 week period, and then you have to go and source, be it a special needs assistant or even somebody with the educational requirements, to then offer that support to the child in the home. And that can really help with the socialisation, because again, in that 2-week period, not only can you have that educational balance and that uplift, you can also get the child out and about, social situations. It might sound simple, but for children with autism, even just being in a cafe ordering food for themselves is a major step. It's a milestone. It's something that really builds their self-esteem, helps them to socialise, reduces the anxiety, and that's the key thing, because during that long period of the school break, where routines are out of kilter, anxiety can increase within children. So any support that's offered, even for such a short period, is so welcomed by the parents and also so appreciated by the children. So it's a combination of all three, where the school can decide if they have the resources, and if not, you can apply for in-house, at-home July provision.
Now, the whole purpose of this conversation too is always to get an education, John Joe, for those who aren't aware, but also really to tell people that if you are refused, don't necessarily just accept that as the final answer. So what was your situation with you and your boys?
I think the key thing is, if you're a parent of any child with additional needs, you have to become an advocate. You might not want to be, you might not have the skill set or even sometimes the confidence, but it will grow over time, and you have to become that advocate. And we became the advocate for our eldest boy when he was actually refused the in-home 2-week July provision, after we'd actually sourced a special needs assistant from his school who was willing and able to provide that 2-week support. Now, the Education Department had deemed that because there was an existing summer school in his high school, that was sufficient, and that meant that he didn't qualify for the additional 2 weeks of July provision. Now, the key thing for our child is that he suffers from OCD and extreme anxiety, which is very, very common in young teenagers with autism. So, as everything, as over the years, when you have to realise you have to fight for everything in this state for our children with special needs, we didn't accept that refusal. We went back to them and highlighted that the whole reason that he was going to participate in the 2-week summer school at his existing high school was for that socialisation, to try and overcome that anxiety. And he might not even be able for it. He might, even after a couple of days, decide that it's too overwhelming. It's too intense for him. We went back and stated that. We also identified the key areas where he was suffering from anxiety and OCD, and how that impacts and gets worse over the long summer period.
And how he could regress as well too. You make that point, which I think is a really important point. It's not about standing still, it's the fact that he could regress in the absence of this provision.
Yes, it was fundamentally important. He's had it since he was a young child, and thankfully, with the very fact that we mentioned your show, we mentioned the TDs, and we worked very closely with the school to go back to the Education Department, and they very, very quickly changed their mind. And the moral of the story is that any parent with children with additional needs, if you're giving a refusal for be it for diagnosis, be it for support, be it from the educational department, we have to be the advocates for our children. We are their voice. They are entitled to this support as citizens of the state. Not only to deserve it, they're entitled to it, and we have to be that voice.
But do you find, John Joe, that and we can get to that we'll finish up with the how you can urge, but do you find with people dealing with everyday life, we've been talking about on the programme today, cost of living, maybe the extra challenges of having a child or children with additional needs, that they feel jaded for the fight? Do you know what I mean? That they go, I just don't think I can sort of start entering into a back and forwards email tete-a-tete with the Department of Education. Do you come across that people just feel that they can't fight another fight?
I think it's very, very common, and fatigue is there. most parents with children with special needs, they're not our only child, so we have a family life. We have the same challenges as everybody else, and there's also increased costs that are brought about by support that you have to have in for a child with additional needs, and it can lead to a jading. But you then have to look at your child, and you have to look at how you want to make sure that they can progress as best as possible and not regress. And regardless of how jaded you might feel, and if anybody's ever had to fill out a form for support for their children,
they know all about it.
Daunting and how jaded it can actually make you. You just have to pick yourself up and look at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is that we're the voice of our children, and if we stay silent, they're not going to get the support that they require and deserve.
Yeah. So what is your final parting advice then for parents?
I think the most important advice for parents is not to be alone. I think if any parent out there who is looking for support for their children, they have to create a support network. You can do that face-to-face with other parents, but more importantly, you're not alone. Join the many Facebook groups that are out there. You can also look for information from my website, autismdad.ie. Join as many Facebook groups as you possibly can. And the most important part about it is to realise that you're not alone. Create a diary of what the requirements are for your child. Look at the support that diary means that they have to have, and write down the key individuals that can help you get that support. Be it the Child Disability Network team, be it CAMS, be it your local politician. Make sure that for every need that your child has, you have a route to get that support for them. And the most important thing is never, ever accept the word no from anybody, because our child are citizens of this country and they deserve the support that they're entitled to.
All right, well, I'm very glad that you, for you and your son particularly, that you
He's delighted.
Yeah, in terms of your success with the Department of Education. So thanks very much for joining us. Good to speak to you again, John Joe.
I know, thank you very much, Greg, and everybody have a fantastic day. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. That's John Joe McGinley, founder of autismdad.ie.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
What's better than another bank holiday? Another Screwfix bank holiday event. From landscaping and decorating to power tools and tool storage. 5 days of deals are now on, and you can click and collect in as little as 1 minute. Bank holiday deals must end Monday, 5th of June. Shop now online at screwfix.ie or in 35 stores. Screwfix, the choice of champions.
Hello summer, hello sunshine. Hello to a fantastic range of summer bedding, baskets and containers lovingly grown in Letterkenny at Alcorn's Garden Centre. Choose from thousands of perfect plants and shrubs with expert advice and everything you need to plant and care for them. Open every day and now accepting Shop LK vouchers. Alcorn's, where value grows every day.
Time is ticking on the sizzling summer sale at Easy Living Furniture. With absolutely everything reduced, now is the time to spruce up your space with stylish furniture and unbeatable savings. From cosy sofas to elegant dining sets, we have the perfect pieces to transform your home. But hurry, this sizzling sale ends this Sunday. Don't miss out on the hottest prices of the season. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
Summer sale now on in Milford Tiles. 20% off wall and floor tiles. 15% off all bathware. 10% off all wood flooring. Fitters and delivery service available. Call Milford Tiles on 083 0910 707.
Be there and show your colours in Croke Park this Saturday, June 3rd for the GAA Ring, Rackard and Mar Hurling Finals. It's Derry versus Meath in the Christie Ring Cup Final at 5. Donegal take on Wicklow in the Nicky Rackard Cup Final at 3. And it's Monaghan versus Lancashire in the Lordy Mar Cup Final at 1. These are our counties, these are our colours. Advanced ticket sales only. Get yours at gaa.ie or selected Centra and Super Value stores. GAA, where we all belong.
Okay, we're going to head now to Ballabafay, and we're speaking to Tracy Alexander, owner of a shop that everyone will be familiar with. It's a great shop in Ballabafay. It's Alexander's of Ballabafay. Tracy, thanks for joining us and good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Now, often when we talk about traffic disruptions and omelettes and eggs and all that kind of stuff, we're speaking really maybe solely as motorists. But as a business person, has your business been severely impacted by the ongoing works in the Twin Towns?
It has, Greg. It has. Ours and everybody's business really has been affected. The last few weeks really have been a nightmare. I spoke with one of the local restaurant owners there just recently, and he said, these are the worst weeks he's had since COVID. It has been tough. Yeah.
There's two things going on. Northbound traffic, you don't want to stop. Is there a parking space? You want to just make sure you get through. And there's a huge reduction in southbound traffic as well, because I think the majority of traffic is going around Ballybofey, really.
That's right. And then we also have the fact that local people, some of maybe here, we do have quite an elderly community here in Ballybofey and Stranraer. And, it's difficult. The one-way system now, it's brilliant, it's very good. But some people do find that difficult. They're out of their normal way of working, of going wherever they usually go. And the whole town is kind of upset, if you like. The whole town has a huge tummy ache, really. So everybody's affected every way.
Yeah, but it's kind of bittersweet, isn't it? Because I think you've been full of praise for local people for making the effort, even if it takes a little bit more time to continue to shop local.
Absolutely. As always in Ballybofey, we have an amazing community here. We have an amazing local community, and we have an amazing business community here in Ballybofey. So we're all trying to support each other as much as we can. Local people, again, are fantastic. And I think, and I put out a Facebook post there recently just about the guys here in the town who are doing the work, not only the work and the traffic management, the road traffic management. I've actually never seen anything like it. It has been running so smoothly. And I think that's actually all down to the guys that are doing it. It's astounding. They're so... they're so helpful to everybody, to motorists. They're so quick to spot where a traffic jam could happen. Or even the last day, I was thinking I had to go down into Stranraer, down past the Fun Valley Centre and out at Dreenan. Are you familiar with that road?
Too familiar lately, but go on, yeah.
So it's been a nightmare getting out at the top of that road. Yeah. But the next day I went down, they had two guys there doing road traffic management. Yeah. They see things. And they act on them. It's just been amazing. And the work is actually going really quickly. They hope to be off the street now, I think, this weekend, because we have a huge weekend in town this weekend. We have athletics, we have football, we have Blessing of the Braves, there's two big weddings, I think, as well in town, local weddings. So we have a lot going on. And
so it's actually really, Tracy, an important message, because people change their travel habits when there's long-term road work. So effectively, all being well, fingers crossed, Ballybofey Stranraer are open for business for this busy holiday weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing as well that I think local people maybe weren't aware of is the roadworks are going on, I think it's 8 to 9 months, but that's not 8 to 9 months on the main street. There's maybe 6 weeks in the main street. They're moving now in behind Alice Boner's shop there in Stranraer. That's where the next section is. There's different sections all over the place, so it's not just on the main street.
Yeah. They do, and I think credit where it's due. It's Jennings O'Donovan Engineers and Wardenburg Contractors, and we can be critical, and you want to be praising of them, so that's good. Before we move on, Alexander, Tracy, do you think that businesses, as part of a contract, should be considered? You referred this or referenced this being like COVID. Do you think, or is it unrealistic to sort of suggest that maybe, I don't know, a break on commercial rates or water rates or some sort of state support, would that be too much to ask when there is definitely going to be long-term disruption to businesses?
No, I don't think it would be, Greg, to be honest. Businesses have really been hit so hard this year. We had the wages increase in January, which was quite significant. The rates bills are all actually coming out. They've all been re-rated this year. The rates bills are coming out. We have water bills coming, and everything's getting more expensive. But yet our takings aren't going up because obviously we've been affected.
Yeah.
you know. And I mean, that's not just me. I mean, we don't have a huge amount of businesses in Stranraer, but they have been really badly affected because nobody's going to stop, you know.
Yeah. And listen, it's not hard to work it out either. You can look at the bottom line from one month to the next and on previous years. So you know yourself the drop off in footfall or passing trade, the impact it has. Okay, right. So it's a mixed message. It's been a tough time, but credit where it's due, and on to better and brighter days. Is that an assessment, Tracy?
Oh, absolutely. And another thing as well is our local Chamber of Commerce, we have a great Chamber of Commerce here in town, and they have been great at liaising with the contractors and the engineers. So we have been updated. We've been getting emails and text messages constantly to let us know what's happening, which has been fantastic. That has been a great bonus. It's even for your staff to let them know, like, listen, this street's closed tomorrow morning, you know, come in some other way, or something as simple as that, you know. So that's been a huge part of it as well. But I know we're so grateful for all the local people, you know, for still coming into town and supporting us, you know, which is great.
So tell us, why should we call into Alexander's of Ballybofey? What can we get?
Oh, Alexander's is the place to be, Greg. You have to go to Alexander's.
Is it for all your everything
definitely.
needs? Yeah, okay. You can get everything. You can get lots of different stuff, can't you?
Absolutely. Downstairs we have grocery and we have convenience bits and pieces. We also sell coal and animal feed. Yeah. And then upstairs we have a beautiful coffee shop. We just opened the coffee shop, of course, at the start of the pandemic. If we'd realised there was a pandemic coming, we probably wouldn't have done it. But we have a lovely coffee shop upstairs, and we sell books and gifts and nice little bits of furniture. Right. And our staff are amazing. That's why you want to come to Alexander's, because they go the extra mile. They're brilliant.
All right, good stuff. Right, okay, it was worth coming on.
Is that a good enough reason to call in?
Yeah. Hey, come here. I'm all about supporting business. Well done to you, Tracy. And I love your realistic, balanced approach. You know what I mean? And providing credit where it's due as well, Tracy. Continued success there, and hopefully now 2 lanes open, up and down traffic, and it's a great weekend for everyone. All right,
great.
Tracy,
so
bye-bye. Take care of yourself. Lovely to speak to you, Tracy. That's Tracy of Alexander's of Ballybofey. Councillor Patrick McGowan joins us now. Councillor McGowan.
Good morning, Greg.
I mean, obviously, it is an interesting proposition, isn't it? You know, when there's clearly going to be some disruption to business incomes, if the council could work with them on rates or something of those along those lines, to accept that, you know, it's a pain in the bum for a motorist, but, you know, it's a pain in the pocket for businesses. It's not. Do you think anything like that could possibly be looked at?
I don't see it happening from the council point of view, but it's certainly something the government would look at. That maybe when these big jobs, these big national primary road jobs, or like what's going on there in Letterkenny, or previously it happened in Ballybofey, but even some of our smaller towns and villages there in the Schooley way back a couple of years ago, like there was a shop there, and for nearly 9 months, like they were virtually closed. There were barriers up around it, and I would say it was a lot worse than 50% they lost, a lot more, and you know, and then like it's to lose the custom, but then the fact then you still have the same overheads, the bills, the staff, and then the council comes with the rate. So I think it's something should be built into these big contracts, you know, where you're in the street for a long time, and we obviously had that, but there's a big change this year, as to say, from a couple of years ago when the big job was coming on the Donegal Road into Ballybofey, and then what's been going on for the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, and even if it was done retrospectively, do you know what I mean? That a business could prove a loss of earnings. It wouldn't all be met by government, but you know what I mean. That there would be some sort of a compensation, because it is they that are making some of the greatest sacrifices. What is the situation then into how this work is progressing? They seem to be cracking on with it at a great pace. Once they get off the main street, is that the back broken of it, do you think, or what's the story?
It is. It definitely is. No, a couple of years ago we got an upgrade there of the sewage treatment plant. Now it's a massive, big new treatment, probably one of the best in the county, and it's built for the future. It's enough for I'm not sure how many thousand people. I think it's around 9,000 it's built for. But the problem was, particularly in Stranraer, there was quite a few businesses flooded up there over the years, and properties where the old sewer and the storm drain were mixed together, and that's where is a priority. So there's a massive job that's going on for about a year now, and there'll be more work done around Navanny, around by Finn Park, new pumps, new piping. But the main street in Stranraer now is all but finished this weekend. They're moving in now into, as I say, into Andy's Alice Boner's shop there at the back of that, and they're going up the back of the buildings there, up across from Keys Hotel and at the back, and right up to the top of the street. So that's all off street now. Now the wall will occasionally have to come back out for joining up in pipes and that, but no, as you say yourself, the back of it's broke. Now later on the wall will come out, as I say, out by Finn Park. There's a job, there's a new pumping station out there to service all them houses. It's under pressure at the moment, and they have to take a new pipe in by Navanny and down on by Chestnut Road there and past Finn Park. That'll be done later on, but this is the biggest inconvenience, and as I say, it's gone very well. But one of the reasons, and Tracy talked about there was good communication for over a year ago with the Chamber of Commerce, ourselves and the council, and Irish Water. This is what brought this down, and there was good communications beforehand, plans. This one-way system was agreed about a year ago. We actually thought this job would start earlier, but even the timing of the job was agreed when the best time of the year, when it wouldn't be too busy or too quiet, you know what I mean, before the summer rush. And the whole thing was well planned and it was well executed, which Tracy sent together. But it's great praise to the way the Chamber of Commerce in town, they kept updating the business every day. Any wee problems were tweaked, and I must say that the people and the contractors, they were very amenable. They answered the phone straight away, and when there's a long tail backing out to Donegal Road, because before the work started in Balfay, as we know, the traffic jams are already there in the mornings and evenings, so it's how to manage it. So look, I certainly wouldn't be against it. They should build on a costing to some compensating some of the business. Some of the small business could not carry that.
I just want next time we have the business minister on, we'll ask them. Is the two-way traffic?
It's not a big figure.
Yeah, is the two-way traffic in Stranraer just for the weekend or for longer? So hopefully it's open for
it's going to be longer now.
Okay.
It's going to be longer. They're out tarring now the road now. Now they do have to come back out onto the street just where they're turning in.
Intersects
at
and stuff.
Alice Boner's there. Just there'll be maybe a stop go or something like that. But the hope now to have it all finished. Everything's going well. They're on schedule.
Okay.
And,
well, they've got the weather for it anyway. A caller says, doesn't it prove what a bypass would do to the shops in Ballybofey? It would drive them all out of the town. You just wouldn't stop. I disagree with that, though.
Well,
because
I don't think so.
I think, to be honest with you, if there was less through traffic, it would be more attractive place to drive into and shop. Now, some bypasses kill some towns, they don't kill the other. I think Ballybofey Stranraer would actually benefit greatly from it. I think they could I don't think this proves anything in that regard.
I'll tell you
with
what it
respect
would
to
be,
the listener.
Greg. There will be challenges, and the town will have to change with it and prepare and hope right. The other thing is, when the TAI are no longer in charge of the road in Ballybofey, do you see the likes of the entrance there to shopping centre there at going to McLanny's, and you see there at the Bank of Ireland, and up there and up at where Lidl is, we'll be able to start putting in roundabouts and different things. Locally in the council, we can't do nothing to the town about park. There's a lot of things where our hands are tied because the TIA dictates the way the town is. They want the traffic going through. When the town is bypassed, we will be able to change that, make it more customer friendly, pedestrianised areas, and do a lot more. Hopefully then it'll be good shopping experience. People can enjoy the day. And there are parks now for more plaza areas and family friendly shop. So look, we'll meet them challenges when they come, and we do need the bypass.
Caller says there's a serious pothole at the junction between Charles Boner's factory and Trusk Road in Ballybofey. Cars are getting damaged. Please fix. Is that as you would turn off at Finn Park and then turn right up into Navanny Car Park? You can't use the left lane there because the road is in bits. Is that where they're talking about? Do you know?
Could you say it again?
Not really, because I'm not from the area. So say you're at Finn Park, right? And you head out towards Session O'Neill, but you turn right into Navanny Car Park there, out towards the Lidl Aldi that's there. At that junction, you can't use the left lane heading towards Donegal Town because there's the road's in bits there, and you find yourself having to cross over into the other lane. It would be well worth getting it fixed, I think. Okay.
I know. They're tearing the road closed at the moment, and they're one day a week they're doing potholes. So I'll make sure that they get out there.
And last one, why did the council close the bridge on the back road out of Ballybofey, especially now when there is roadworks on the main road? I'm not familiar with that bridge.
It's been on your radio there for a couple of weeks there. Maybe someone put up the big sign about the bra. That was because that road has fallen apart, and we promised to get it done. We couldn't hold it back. And you see, this weekend, there were a lot of people using that road as well as a bypass, so we had to do it.
So it was to avoid the bra straps having to be tightened and the dentures. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. All right, thanks very much indeed, Councillor Patrick McGowan there. Right, caller says, I love Alexander's, best shop about, and as Tracy says, lovely staff, you can get anything you need in there in the best cafe about. Okay, right. Let us take a break.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to lower prices for an amazing bank holiday weekend. Like Tesco Farpit Tomahawk Beefsteak was €28.35, now €18.99 per kilo. Coca-Cola cans 20-pack was €18, now €10. And Heinz Squeezy Tomato Ketchup 460 gram was €4.60, now €2.50. Lower the cost of your shop with your Tesco Club Card or app. The power to lower prices. Tesco. Every little helps. Product subject to availability. Excludes Express stores.
New multi-million euro cattle tagging scheme launched. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal how farmers will be incentivised to DNA tag animals. Find out how many farmers applied for the new suckler scheme in your county. Fears grow that re-wetting plans will devalue farmland. Department moves and hedgerow removal rules. As summer silage sizzles, we examine rising diesel prices. And Ireland leads the way in sustainable farming. Read our exclusive interview with the EU Commissioner for Agriculture.
All in this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. On sale now.
Are you looking to make a difference in your community? Your local daycare centre needs committee volunteers like you. Whether you have skills in administration, IT, finance or marketing, you can make a huge difference in the lives of the elderly in our community. Be part of your community's story. Contact DLDC on 074 91 27056 to find out how you can help. This project is co-funded by the Government of Ireland and the European Union.
He's back. Come on! Mario Rosenstock is back live on stage in 2023.
What a lovely surprise.
Gift Grub Live 23, the brand new show.
Give us the gory details. What's it all? Go on, boy.
Friday, 30th of June, Mount Errigal, Letterkenny.
Can't wait to hear this, Dennis. This should be interesting, right?
Tickets from €39 on sale now from Venue Box Office and Ticketmaster. Additional charges may apply. The brand new show, Gift Grub Live 23. Bring it on.
Are you going to see Mario?
Hey, you're very welcome back to the show. And it's that time of year again where Robert O'Connor, chair of Relay for Life, joins us. You're very welcome on to the programme, Robert. How are you keeping?
I'm good, Greg. Thank you for having us.
It's great to have you with us. Okay, so it's just around the corner now. Relay for Life Donegal takes place this year from 5 p.m. on Saturday, June 3rd to 5 p.m. on Sunday, June 4th. And it's at the beautiful grounds of the ATU, the Donegal campus there in Letterkenny.
Yep, we're so privileged to have the facility there in the ATU, formerly LYIT. We've been there every year, and Paul Hannigan and staff have been so generous and so good to us. It's been tremendous.
Right, so tell us about this year. I'll leave that up to you because it goes on for so long, you see. There's so much that does go on. So how does it kick off?
Kicks off 5 o'clock with our Survivors Lap. There's a bit of music on stage with Liam Boyle beforehand, but officially it kicks off at 5 o'clock, where our survivors, people in purple T-shirts, have the first lap of the field, followed by their caregivers, and then the team parade. And then the survivors are taken for a banquet in the LYATU halls, what do we call it, canteen area there. And then music starts on the stage, and coming up to about 10:30 at night, Moya Brennan is there for the candle ceremony, which is narrated by Highland's own Donald Kavanagh, and that's really one of the highlights of the whole event. Very emotional thing where people take time to remember the loved ones were earlier at the Survivors Lap. They're actually celebrating cancer survivorship and people going through their journey through the night. It sort of calms down a little bit. And then in the morning we have Mass at 7 a.m. We have a really lovely 2 hours then from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock with Aidan Murphy, our gospeler and ecumenical service, and it really is lovely. And we invite people to come into the hall and be part of that audience. If they're there for about 8:45 in the morning, it would be great. It's out live. And the whole event is streamed live as well, so we hope to have that link for Highland tomorrow. You've been good to us with promoting that in the past, and hopefully we'll have that tomorrow. And it concludes then on the Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. But one of the things this year we have for the first time is around about 12 o'clock on Sunday. Muncher Lee Gooch from Roll Call for Relay is there with a school disco for the kids. And that was a great initiative.
No better man than Lee for that,
absolutely a great initiative. And thanks to Linda and Lee and Highland for promoting that.
Listen to.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was really fantastic.
And one thing which, with all the best organisation in the world, is that you can't organise the weather. But the higher powers have done that for you. So anyone attending, you're actually going to have to bring your sunblock or a big hat.
Absolutely.
That's the reality, because the weather's going to be lovely.
Yep, and we believe that the higher powers have done that. Seamus Devine on our committee believes he has done it, but however...
Where's Seamus from?
Seamus is from Castlefin.
Castlefin,
he's our weatherman.
Yeah, okay.
And one thing he did ask me to do not go on without asking for volunteers. He still needs some volunteers.
Okay, well, how do people volunteer?
If they get in touch, either directly with Seamus or through relayforlifedonegal@gmail.com.
Right, okay, so there is an amazing list of artists. So don't want to leave anyone out, but on Saturday at 4 p.m, Elaine Boyle, The Survivors, The Career Lap, John Lowe's doing the opening ceremony, David Craig's there, Dermot Fergal and Rachel McConnell, Seamus McGee, Hugh McLean, Gareth Kerwin, Hugo Duncan, Amy Meehan, Wildflowers, Brie Carr, Callum Keaveney, Moya Brennan, and on it goes, you know what I mean? And then on Sunday from 1 to 6 p.m, Team Rest, 6 a.m, Wakey Wakey, Sarah Marie, 7 a.m. Mass, as you mentioned, 9 p.m. the Gospel Hour, 10 Economical Service, and then 11:20 there's a Keith Fletcher, Lee Gooch or Keith Fletcher, I don't know, whichever.
Both
of them. Oh, not the two of them.
Not the two of them, yeah.
At the same time.
At the same time, oh my God.
People think me and Lee about, all right, that's going to be good fun, stroke chaos. And on it goes, the ukulele group, Norman Borland, Noel Shevlin's in there, Anne Biddy, Simon Peters, and so on up until the closing cemetery. My apologies if ceremony. My apologies if I've left anyone out, but it's for people to dip in and out. So what's the relay side of it? You just talk, because we often don't talk about that, me and you. So
yep, the relay side is it's a walk around the track for 24 hours, and it was started by a Dr. Gordy Klatt in 1983, I think it was, in America, and he raised about $20,000 that year running. And then they decided that it was easier to walk it from then on, and now it's in 32 years.
Yeah,
32 countries, in the world.
And how do people raise money?
They raise money by all sorts of things. Over the weekend, the teams all have a little fundraiser at their gazebo, and but it's more fun than actually fundraising at the weekend, because by that stage they have it all done. There's been pub quizzes, there's been cake sales, there's been in Dunlow, the little band, school band over there did a fundraiser for us with a drone and everything, where they actually, spelled out one at one the thing. There's all sorts of things, and face painting, you name it.
And you have struck the balance now, and we want to see a huge year this year, because like many annual events, COVID sort of threw a spanner in the work, and then when you come back, people are out of the routine and stuff. I don't know what the figure. I'm not saying that's the case here, but anyway, the weather's going to be great. We want this to be bigger and better than ever. So many of us will either get cancer, be affected by cancer, or lose someone to cancer. In fact, I can safely say that there's no one listening that doesn't fall into those categories. So this is striking the balance as well between remembrance, hope, the future, research. You know what I mean? It's all encompassing, and I think that's right across the programme. You see that.
Yeah, the statistics show that now 1 in 2 of us will get cancer in our lifetime. But on the positive side, the treatments are so good that survival rates are much better, and people are living longer.
Not as much in the West and Northwest, so we have to keep that separate fight going, and we're going to do that here on this show as well. So together, let us celebrate, remember, and fight back, and that's what it's all about. Okay?
Absolutely.
And stay tuned to Highland Radio if you can't get down, because some people will want to get a sense of what's going on and they can't travel for one reason or another, and people get a real sense of what's going on here as well.
Absolutely. And Highland have been so supportive of us since 2012.
And we're part of it. We're all the same people that could get cancer, have gotten cancer, survived cancer, died because of cancer, and our loved ones. We are the community. We're all together. We're working with you, and do you know what I mean? That's what we do here, because
absolutely, and that's the benefit of community radio and local radio as opposed to sort of national radio. It's for the people.
Yeah, we're all each other's friends and neighbours and families.
Absolutely.
And we're not separate, we're part of it. As you get, I know you get that. So that's why anyone would do anything to support. Robert, thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Well done. Enjoy it. Enjoy the weather. Robert O'Connor, Chair of Relay for Life. It's been great having you on the
Thanks
programme.
a million, Greg, as always. Thank you.
As I say, stay tuned to Highland Radio for more information.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock, time for a news update, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Dáil has been told that it would be impossible for a single person on the median wage in Donegal to buy a house in the county. Deputy Thomas Pringle told TDs that based on recent CSO figures, which show Donegal still has the lowest income in the state, he sat down with mortgage calculator programmes and looked at estate agents to see what could be bought. He says his findings were stark. A young man who died in a jet ski accident in County Clare yesterday evening was from Limerick City. The 19-year-old was killed when the jet ski flipped over in the water on Lough Derg. Bystanders managed to help two teenage girls who were also in the jet ski safely back to shore. The Gairloch of the Inishowen Municipal District has described works approved for Newton Cunningham as a game changer. Donegal County Council has given the go-ahead for works as part of the town's Main Street Active Travel project. Improvement and upgrade works are to be carried out and traffic calming measures installed. A group of European politicians, which Fine Gael is a member of, have walked away from discussions on major EU plans to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The European People's Party, which represents around a quarter of MEPs, has left talks on the nature restoration law. Donegal is one of 3 top staycation destinations this year. According to a new report from myhome.ie, the cost of living crisis is having a major impact on holiday plans this year, with 47% of those surveyed holidaying differently this year as a result. The Lochfoyle and Swilly ferry services have resumed today. The service linking Greencastle and McGilligan and the Swilly ferry service linking Buncrana and Rathmullen will operate a full service for the season, 7 days a week. And finally, a statue has been stolen from outside a motor shop in Letterkenny. It comes a mere matter of days after a plastic ice cream cone was stolen from outside the Circle K garage in Letterkenny, which has now since been returned. The one-stop man statue was last seen outside the shop on Tuesday evening at around 5:30. Those are the latest headlines.
What's going on?
I don't know.
So this is like, you call it a statue.
Yeah.
This is like a big advertising thing.
Yeah, kind of the same size as ice cream cones.
Right, okay. What is going on here? So we've got the ice cream cone back and now we're looking for the one-stop man.
So hopefully he'll be returned as well, maybe.
Right, okay.
Well, they said that they've seen 2 men in a van that may have taken it as a joke. But
yes, but you see, the thing is that these things are very expensive and we can have a little bit of fun with it in the headlines and what have you. Not you, obviously, but at the end of the day, these things could have been in the business for an awful long time. So whilst we can see the humour side of this, because there seems to be a trend of oversized advertising things going, we have to get this back. It's quite distinctive. It's a one-stop man and it may have gone into a van with 2 other fellas.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And CCTV is currently being examined.
Yeah, they did say that it is sentimental value and they're appealing for information.
Right, we need to get
hopefully
one-stop man
back.
back. Yeah, indeed. Okay, listen, thanks very much for that, Michaela. Michaela, back with you at 12 noon. So the one-stop man has been stolen. Last seen outside the one-stop motor shop in Letterkenny on Tuesday evening at around about 5:30. CCTV seems to suggest 2 men in a van took him, possibly as a joke, but it's not funny. It is funny, it's not funny. You know what I mean? It is if you're not directly affected by it, but it's got sentimental value, as you can imagine, financial value as well. It's really quite distinctive. If you know where that is, let us know. We'll let them know. Okay, you've got about 2 minutes to continue to get your gardening questions in.
You can rely on a Giga Home. You can Giga Stream all Giga Weekend. You can feel Giga Safe as your kids hop online to have Giga Fun, and you can Giga Boogie in your Giga basement. Vodafone Giga Home combines super Wi-Fi, always connected, and secure net for a broadband connection you can always rely on. So, get on the Giga train. Search Vodafone Giga Home to find out more. Vodafone, together we can.
Subject to location and availability. Giga Home is subject to subscription. Cancel anytime. Eligibility limitations and terms apply. See Vodafone.ie.
There's fantastic value at Homeland Letterkenny Garden Centre this Saturday, 3rd of June, with our final Garden Super Saturday. All hedging, buy two, get one free. Cool Flame solar lights, buy two, get one free. Sizzler barbecue was €299, now €249. Pad stove bistro set was €99, now €79. Shop in store at Homeland Letterkenny with expert advice from our experienced team. Offers mentioned available this weekend only.
Holiday sunshine. Fly from Derry to Mallorca this July or August with Atlantic Travel in Letterkenny. Save up to 20% with rates not available elsewhere. Also exclusive discounts for parking. Call Atlantic Travel Letterkenny on 91 26193 or visit atlantictravel.ie.
The McPlant. What? 100% vegan? Even the cheese? But how? It can't be. Can it?
It really is. The McPlant from McDonald's, with melt-in-the-mouth vegan cheese, a delicious sesame-seeded bun, vegan mayo, and a juicy Beyond Meat patty. It's our iconic taste, plant-based. Served after 11 a.m, subject to availability.
Okie doke, into the last hour of this Thursday's show, and we welcome into the studio Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Bagder Garden Centre. Paul, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
What about this weather?
The weather is glorious at the minute, so it is.
Yeah, and because of this high pressure stubbornly stuck off the north coast, it's really quite predictable, and they're saying there's not going to be a dribble of rain for a week at least.
No, I think so. All right, I reckon most next week's going to be fairly dry as well, so it's important to keep up in the water, I suppose.
Yes,
So
the flowers, the plants are thirsty.
Yes, absolutely. And I suppose the thing now at the minute, the kids are out to their paddling pools and stuff like that, so it's good actually if you're removing it, you use that water for the plants. You're sort of making the most of the water. They
don't mind the plants.
No, they'll be grand. They'll thrive on it.
All right, that's all right. And what about lawns? Like listen, I've never water a lawn. I would say it is a terrible waste, right? But that's me personally. I don't tend to judge other people, but I presume lawns are starting to go. Hold on a second here. We're drying out.
Generally, you see that in sort of the verges along the road and stuff. You'll see the grass sort of gradually turning yellow and yellow. To be honest, I wouldn't be a big man for watering well either. If it's well established, if it's like new grass seed you've sown this year, that'd be a good idea to give it a wee drink. Yeah. Just to establish it. But on an established lawn, I wouldn't be bothered.
Yeah, it'll bounce back.
It will, surely.
And we will get rain. You know, as much
as much as we want, I would say.
And it's interesting to see the amount of rain in Spain and Italy at the moment. And yet here we are sitting, and it's great to see us getting good weather in the west and northwest, and them freezing their boobs off in Dublin.
Yes, absolutely. Even the South England, like you usually associate with almost like a French weather, but they seem to we're getting it far better at the minute.
What is that you have in front of you? That plant?
This is an aloe vera plant.
Aloe vera.
Yes, and my wife uses that one quite regularly.
It's annoying, isn't it? I do it all the time, and it does annoy. Aloe vera. Does she ever then start talking about hot pots and stuff? I do that. I go, aloe vera. Do you want a hot pot?
Yes, the little Coronation Street thing come out, didn't you?
Yeah, that's it. Betty's hot pot.
So what do you call? But
she left me with the pigeons.
That's Phyllis.
I was going to say you must have more into it than I was.
I'm here all day. Right, okay. So let us. Can you hold it aloft a little bit?
Yes.
Right. So
where's your camera?
No, it's to your right this time because someone broke my cameras. Right. So what is that then? This
is an aloe vera plant. It's a tropical plant. It's a succulent, which means that it stores water within itself.
Yes.
So it's almost like a desert plant. So brilliant plant to have in the house. Thrives in neglect because if you forget to water, it's happy enough.
So it's like those other tall ones that people have. It lives on the moisture in the property, effectively.
Almost,
for the most part. You have to water it occasionally.
Very occasionally. Every month, maybe, would be happy enough.
So how do you derive aloe vera from it?
Yeah, pretty much the way it's stored moisture within it, and it's stored all sorts of antioxidants and stuff like that there. So Caroline very kindly let me borrow a knife here.
You're going to open it?
Yes.
Okay, let's tilt this down and then
very
good. Watching it. Okay, go
ahead. Simple as that. You just cut off a leaf, particularly. And generally use about an inch and a half of it at a time. Cut off that wee bit.
Yes.
And cut it apart.
Okay.
And you can see that the inside of it's covered in gel.
Ooh, can I have it?
Yeah,
Over here.
absolutely.
1 second.
But
wow, that's actually very gooey.
Yes, but it's absolutely brilliant for any sort of skin conditions, or if it's actually for sunburn, particularly at this time of year. That's brilliant. There's no particular smell of it now.
Yeah, but I'm smelling. I think I'm smelling the actual structure of the plant.
Yeah.
So you could rub that into a burn, sunburn.
Exactly. First or second degree burns, like a scald in the hand or something like that, there's perfect for it. Heals generally cuts even.
It's really running now.
It will heal about 9 times quicker than normal stuff,
Yeah.
So, but sunburn particularly is very good for soothing it and treating it a bit.
Right.
So it is.
And is it a moisturiser as well? Or
Yes,
what else is it?
absolutely. So we're supposed to have a lot of beauty products made out of it.
Yeah, there's no smell off it actually.
No,
so if your aloe vera smells, it's scented.
Yes, well, what do you call it? But no, it's there's no real thing of it. But no, it's an absolutely brilliant plant to have about the place. So it is. And this bit, the excess bit of the leaf, you can actually leave in the fridge for up to a week. Just wrap it in cling foam and stick it in the fridge.
So that plant that you have that we're looking at here, it's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, it used to have 9 kind of branches to it, right? Yeah. How quickly does that return or grow? I presume it's a slow grower. If
it's quite a slow grower, but they will grow to about 12 inches or so. Okay. So you can actually just cut the ends off them.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't be so bad. But they also reproduce by putting out wee side plants. You can actually just at a certain time of year just take them off and replant them into their own separate pot.
Yeah,
and they'll be happy enough to grow away.
In just cutting that little bit. And it's really, it's got a constituency to it that I wasn't expecting. It is like a moisturiser.
Yeah, that's a real gel. Like it's not really liquid.
So
as such.
exactly. So you could just rub that straight on then.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
Well. You know what I mean?
Rub it onto the
affected excess area, and just keep rubbing it, because I presume that the leaf is sodden in it as well, because it's going to soak up.
That's the way they store their water basically in the desert conditions.
And no problem growing those indoors in this country. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be indoors. It won't stick the frost outside.
But they love it. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And how old is that plant that you have there?
That plant there probably 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah,
I would say.
It's quite octopusy looking, isn't it?
It is, but all right. So it's very, very desert looking. It's almost like a cactus.
All right, okay, brilliant stuff. All right. 086 60 25,000. 1 second here. 086 60 25,000 if you wish to get in contact with us. Right. Moss on the lawns is going to keep coming in. I get that, because people are, they're well into the sort of, it's probably on the 3rd cut at this stage, right? And they're still seeing the blade goes down and
it's just onto the carpet.
Yeah, you're into the carpet there now. So what can people manageably do, I wonder, to address the problem?
Probably the easiest way of dealing with it is to hire a scarifier. It's a machine, just hire it and go over, and that pulls out actually the moss from between the things.
Yes.
Any bare patches then treat with grass seed, because anywhere that you leave a bare patch is going to, the moss is going to recolonize basically. But to be honest, going back to your point earlier in terms of lawns being sort of dry and under stress, I would nearly leave it at the stage until we get a bit of rain.
Yes,
because you're actually ripping at the lawn a bit. While it's under stress, you don't want to be more stressing it basically.
And do you think we're too fussy maybe sometimes too, a little bit? I mean that nicely. I kind of come to terms with what I have in front of the house. It's never going to be a bowling green. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's short, and you can kick a ball on it. You know, that sort of a way.
I suppose it's just what people are into basically. Some people expect a pristine lawn. To be honest, my lawn is far from it. They're more clover in it than anything else. But like say, it's green. You cut it every so often, and the winds play away in it. And everybody's happy enough.
No mow May.
No Mow May, yes, very popular. It's becoming more and more popular. So it is.
Well, it was such a success for me. I'm actually going to do no washing up June.
Oh, excellent!
Yeah, so and I can't wait to figure out what I'm going to do in July.
Yes, you're just going to have to justify it to yourself. But now the No Mow May is actually, a lot of people have embraced it, and I see a lot of like areas within housing estates and stuff. You see the wee pollinator signs up and that. So apparently it is very beneficial.
It is kind of interesting, because I did notice that one local multinational has adopted that approach, right? It's kind of like wildflowery stuff.
Yeah.
But they put a sign up to state that, because I presume they don't want people to think that they're neglecting the property.
Exactly.
So it's kind of a double advantage. They seem to be doing something for the environment, but at the same time they're saying it's not that we're lazy here, it's just that this is what we're doing.
Yeah,
and that's it. I mean, it's coming to terms really with the fact that it's not going to, maybe, depending on your what you like, it's not going to look as nice as as tightly cut grass.
Yeah, pretty much. But a lot of people are sort of, like big companies especially, they're trying to offset carbon and stuff like that. So I suppose any wee bit helps.
And it saves them on maintenance costs as well. Neighbour's cat coming into my garden from next door. What do I do about that?
Yes, Cats can be a huge problem, sort of be divisive between neighbours and stuff. Generally, there are a few sort of repellents you can get. And actually, the last time I was on, we were discussing
this fantastic new.
I have a poo for every occasion.
Yes,
basically.
exactly.
So the new one I've seen online actually apparently works very well is lion poo.
Lion's poo.
Yeah, basically you can get essence of it. Now you buy it online and spread it about, and the theory is that the cat actually smells that there is a predator about or a lion about, so he says, "Oh, there's a bigger fella about here than me, so I'll stay out of that."
So that really is, because I mean, obviously a local cat's never seen a lion. That really gets into sort of,
Yeah, apparently it's in their DNA.
In their DNA, that's exactly it. How exciting! So how do you source lion poop?
The minute I've only seen it online now, but I suppose it's distilled and. I was going to actually get a jar to bring in, but it was very expensive.
No, we'll stick with the aloe vera plants if that's all right.
But the thing about that, do you get other repellents you can buy starting garden centres, hardware shops? They're based in citrus fruits.
Yeah, I mean cats. I mean you can you tame a cat and it's a house pet and all that. But I mean by nature they retain. It's not like a dog. Like a cat does retain an awful lot of its instinctive behaviour, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And, you know what I mean? I'm not sure really you can train that out of them as such. They go off and do their thing and...
No, funny, I actually, the whole lion poo, I had $1 million idea one day there.
Go on.
The biggest problem we have around here is deers in gardens. And I thought, what would a deer be afraid of? A wolf? Or something like that.
It's a wolf poop.
That's exactly what I thought. Only I chatted to a wolf expert who says it wouldn't work because wolves have been gone out of the environment for so long.
Yeah, but look how long lions have been removed from cats.
True. So
it's worth it. I mean, there's a Wild Ireland.
Yes, it was him I was talking to.
Oh, him, right? Okay, well, forget it then. So,
but no, he reckoned it's out of the deer's DNA.
Yeah,
to recognise what a wolf is.
Right, okay. It'd be fascinating, though, to get a bucket of it, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, because deers are the main problem in people's gardens around here at the minute.
Really unbelievable.
Coming in
it is.
causing for young trees and stuff.
Yeah.
But getting back to the cats, the thing I've found most reliable would be just basically get the hose or get a water pistol.
Yeah.
And if you see the cat coming
Discourage
in,
it,
just exactly, and sort of... He negatively associates your garden with getting wet. And if you keep that up for about a week, I know it's not easy for people that aren't there all the time, but once he gets that negative association, he'll find somewhere easier and more pleasant to go.
He'll choose the path of least resistance.
Exactly,
yeah. Okay. I had a load of flowers on my apple tree, but they appear now to be falling off. So no apples appearing. What's going on there?
Yeah, it would be natural enough for the flowers to fall off, and generally what should have happened was that the flower got pollinated, and then that sort of feeds the seed that's behind the flower. So give another few weeks, you might see the wee apples starting to form.
So it's not over yet.
It's not lost yet.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not. But if you don't, it's possible didn't get pollinated enough. So it might be an idea to actually just maybe introduce another one next year.
I'm trying to grow a hedge. Planted it earlier this year. Should I put grass cuttings around the roots or keep the roots clear of all grass?
I would tend to keep the roots clear of all grass. Generally, if you bought a plant there, something like poultry manure, someone got to put on it. But what can happen is the grass cuttings become sort of very stodgy and they'll retain a lot of moisture. And if they're up against the trunk of the plant, it can actually sort of rot the bark a bit. So now I would tend to leave the grass cuttings fairly well away.
I'm trying to do a bit for wildlife, and I'm wondering at the moment, I've just left a patch of the garden uncut, but should I plant some type of flowers or plants in it?
Yeah, well, generally what you're doing, if you actually read into a lot of stuff, the best thing you can do for nature is to do nothing.
Yeah.
So just let it go and let whatever natural flowers native to your area come up.
Yeah.
So chances are just leave it the way it is. If you want to make it a bit more attractive, you can introduce some stuff, but generally you're doing your bit by doing nothing.
Now, relatively speaking, because we're talking about something that's not important, but I'm tortured with little white fluffs coming off trees.
Mm-hmm.
They're blowing into the back of the house. They're sticking to everywhere. You know, everywhere there's a cobweb, they stick in it. Mm-hmm. They're sticking to any furniture that's there. What are they?
Do you know, but to see, probably you're thinking of as dandelions.
No, they're coming off a tree. It's like a tree with a white flower on it.
Coming off sallies or willows,
right?
I would say.
Yeah.
They can be quite sticky, all right, them things.
And is that how it populates the world with itself, is
pretty
it?
much, that's what I got back about sort of March, April. It forms these wee sort of yellow catkins, and then the white fluffy bits come off. But I think that is the seed distributing itself, more or less.
But they seem to be more like, I've had it in the past, but it was like for a short period of time. They've just floating around the place now for weeks on end.
Yeah, I suppose I would say what happened there is we've had no sort of big sort of spring storm as such.
Yeah, wind.
Normally wind come along and clean them off in one day, whereas now it seems to be, because there's been no one, it's just sort of, it's prolonging the process.
Any advice on growing gooseberry bushes and a blueberry bush? We used to have them in my granny's, and I'd like to grow them for my grandchildren. What's the best time to plant them?
Best time to plant them. Once again, garden centres have them now in pots, so you can plant them any time of year. Probably, I don't know if I'd plant them just now because it's very hot, if you know what I mean. But sort of getting into August, September would be perfect time to plant
They're
them.
hardy, aren't they? I've seen them next to the sea, producing great fruit.
Yeah.
The gooseberries in particular.
Yes, gooseberries are actually very easy to grow. They will grow pretty much anywhere, and you could plant one in any stage of the year. The blueberries are a different kettle of fish. It's a ericaceous plant. It actually doesn't like lime. So it likes real acidic soil. Sort of their natural habitat would be boggy ground and peaty ground, which Donegal should be quite good for growing them,
Mm-hmm.
But so if you're planting a blueberry bush, it'd be important to get a bag of ericaceous compost to put around it.
What feed would be best for a cherry blossom tree?
Cherry blossom tree, probably once again your poultry. I mean, you're just a generally well balanced fertilizer, something with an NPK that's sort of fairly regular, like 777, which the poultry manure would be. But generally something got to be organic as well. Anything's fairly balanced that you're going to sort of feed the whole aspect of the tree and the flowers.
Here's an interesting one, actually, and kind of timely because it is the 1st of June. I did no mow May, and as you can imagine, my lawn is like a mini jungle for all the bees, etc. June has come, so what's the best way to tackle it? Mow without a bucket on and rake it up, start? Now, what I've done is actually stick it at its highest height. Now, it depends on how long it is. Stick it on its highest height, and you have to go over it a couple of times. But I don't know, is there a better way to do it?
Pretty much, if it's very long, what you could do actually is go on very high with a strimmer or something, actually strim it off quite high, like you're chatting maybe 6-8 inches up, and then take that stuff off.
I think going without the bucket... without the collector.
At its highest setting, it might be all right. But the thing is now it's so dry, this is the optimum time to cut it because the grass is actually less bulked or less moisture in the grass.
Yeah, because sometimes when I've had to cut it when it was high, the grass has always got some sort of a moisture to it in the ground, and it gets very boggy then, and it sort of mulches the grass into the...
Because the heat doesn't get in the bottom of the grass, so it's going to be naturally wet anyway. So if you cut it at its highest setting, maybe left it a day.
Yeah.
And then actually cut it lower.
Yeah, sort of take a couple of days, take the long weekend
dry out as you go.
All right, okay. May I ask what happened the Montanas this year? No flowers at all. I cut it well back, thank you.
Yes, very good question, because my next door neighbour has actually lost hers. As the Clematis Montana Rubens. She's lost hers. I think it was a frost, and mine's is looking very sad of itself, so it is now. I think there was a very hard frost just before Christmas, and I think that's what done for them. And they're sort of struggling to come back, basically, but they're not performing anyway like what they should be.
Yeah, so one event can disrupt...
Absolutely. There's a very sudden frost just about a week before Christmas. Seems to have destroyed a lot of plants. Even the cord lines around the country, a lot of them are destroyed as well.
Right, okay. Listen, we better just talk about watering then, because there's very little air moisture either.
Yes.
Just briefly. So whether your stuff's inside or outside, as they say, not everyone has a garden. Some have a wee balcony or just the windowsill or a place by the window in the kitchen, whatever it might be. They need a lot of water at the moment because the soil, it will dry out. And actually, when it dries out, if you just pour it on the top, sometimes the dry soil can repel it to some extent. So we have to give a little bit of extra attention to our little flowery friends.
Exactly. So no, generally the best time to water is morning or evening. If you do it in the middle of the day, you risk scorching the plants and the water evaporates too quickly. So generally, if you can do it morning or evening, and in this sort of current heat, we've definitely pretty much bedding plants that every day. And generally, getting other plants in the garden, get into the habit of checking them sort of pretty much every day if you can. And if it's a newly established plant, definitely water it every couple of days.
All right. Colette McRae is out in Salou, and she says, "Good morning, Greg, from a sunny Salou."
Yes, lovely spot.
But I'm looking at this. It is. I'm looking at the weather forecast here. 22 degrees and cloudy, but it's sunny, cloudy. Do you know when there's half a sun behind the cloud? So I'm glad you're enjoying your holiday, Colette, if indeed it is a holiday. But I'm looking out the window here now, and there is not a cloud in the sky, and there is no wind, and I think it's probably around about 23, 24 out there right now. So Colette, whilst normally I'd be very envious of you, on this occasion, I'm envious probably at the pool.
Exactly.
Imagine watching me and you at the pool in Salou.
Surely there'll be better things to do.
No, never. All right, okay. But we're matching you, Colette, for the weather just at the moment. But enjoy your break if it is indeed a holiday, and it's great to have you on board.
Yesterday in the polytunnels was 45 down the garden centre.
Lovely. It's like being in Dubai.
Yes, exactly. It's grand if you weren't working.
Yes. All you needed now was a bottomless brunch.
Yes, exactly.
And you would be in Dubai. That's right. Listen, thanks very much, Paul.
Grand.
Paul
Thank you very
McLaughlin at Ballochder Garden Centre. All your bedding plants and everything all ready to go and all that
Yeah,
kind of
pretty
stuff.
much all gone at this stage.
All gone?
Right, pretty much.
Wow,
So no, it's been a good season.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. Got them
huge
to
amount of work.
that, and a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. Okay, good. I hope it worked very well for you. Paul McLaughlin, gardener there at Ballochder Garden Centre. He'll be back with us in a few weeks, or a week or 2 weeks. I haven't a clue. But for now, he's away, and we'll be back with more after this break.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
This summer, enjoy the tastiest burger in town for less at Kelly's Diner, Letterkenny. With Jake's famous burgers, there's your choice of burger, beef, chicken or veggie, all freshly prepared, with your pick of delicious toppings and sides. Selected burger deals every weekend. Find the best value burger in town. Jake's Burgers at Kelly's Diner, Mountain Top, Letterkenny.
Tá dánig airí beag an níos mó. Ach beidir go gíleach níos mó rud ag an eile. Cílíonn níos mó turbína guithe agus níos mó a chursála. Cílíonn níos mó betheag súlachta agus níos mó stórála fuinmh. Cílíonn níos mó hídrigine agus níos mó fermacha graine. Tis go gílíonn níos mó fuinmh glán marachtáil níos éfachtaí. Níos mó nabhsplachas fuinmh. Sin an fá go bhfuil mid níos mó ná món. Fálam níos mó ag morthanmona.ie.
New multi-million euro cattle tagging scheme launched. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal how farmers will be incentivised to DNA tag animals. Find out how many farmers applied for the new suckler scheme in your county. Fears grow that re-wetting plans will devalue farmland. Department moves and hedgerow removal rules. As summer silage sizzles, we examine rising diesel prices. And Ireland leads the way in sustainable farming. Read our exclusive interview with the EU Commissioner for Agriculture.
All in this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. On sale now.
Oakfest, the family-friendly music festival, is back for 2 days, September the 9th and 10th at Oakfield Park. On Saturday, join the legendary Susie Quattro. The lineup also includes the Bay City Rollers, the Davy K Project, the Wailing Banshees, and local favourites Shearbuzz. Then on Sunday, there's Boys Life with Keith Duffy and Brian McFadden, Lisa McHugh, Honor, Rory on the Island, and more. Oakfest, Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th of September at Oakfield Park, Rafo. Tickets now on sale at oakfieldpark.com.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Rightio, 27 minutes past 11. I want to say a big happy birthday to our Judith Wilkin in Dromada, who will be the big 5-0 this month from your fabulous friends. Okay. Any chance... Oh, that's something else. Let me see here. Hi, could you please wish Bill and Breed Porter from Buncrana a massive happy 52nd wedding anniversary. Love from their daughter, Nyreen, and the rest of the family. Thank you. Well done, Bill and Breed. Would you be able to reach out... would you be able to read out the following about the Church of Ireland Church Fair? It's taking place this Saturday, the 3rd of June, at the church grounds and hall in Kilmacrennan. Okay, get along to that if you can. Padder McDade in Brocka, in Creasla. Happy birthday from Granny, Grandad, Auntie Bridget and Godfather Lurkin. Padder McDade, have a wonderful birthday there. Good morning, Greg. Just seen the one-stop man thumbing out the dual carriageway. Think he's heading for Derry. No, that must be someone else. It's not our guy. He's not that animated. What about the road from Ballybofey to the Cross? It's in terrible condition since Irish Water put in the pipes. Indeed, hopefully that gets sorted sooner rather than later. I'm after waiting on the phone to the Intrio office for near 30 minutes to be told they can't help me. It's a total disgrace. You can get a contact number for a local office instead, having to talk to the National Intro office. I misplaced son's appointment letter to get the PSC card, was trying to get time for it. He took day off from apprenticeship to get the card for a theory. The lady said they will get back to me by email, but she said it won't be today, and sorry. I asked her, can I contact a local intro office? And she said they have no contact, only by email they can be contacted. It's a total disgrace how people can't directly contact for local services. I'll go up later, but for something so simple, they make it so complicated. Now, I had to register for a PSC card recently, and I just called them in Donegal Town and set up an appointment. Now, the appointment wasn't until the following week. I think I called on a Thursday, but I didn't speak nationally on the website. This is to, if I'm on about the same thing, I just called Donegal Town and there was a list of numbers for all of them. A caller says, maybe all this money that we are flushed with in non-existent, these multinationals who get huge tax cuts and low interest rates are of getting away with everything and the workers getting hammered. Why increase everything across the board when we have so much? Well, you see, the problem is not the problem, but the reality is that all our excess income in this country that none of us see comes from multinationals that are invested here, and it's a tax on their profits. And I think 2 or 3 companies make up a huge proportion of the excess income coming into the country. The government's coffers are swollen. They're swollen. It's not a myth or a theory. They're swollen with cash. But it's just, some might say, not filtering down to the man and woman on the street. I agree with you, Greg. Why did the council hand back surplus money instead of allocating it for more houses for the community and the Micah people? And why they added 3 million to the funds at Dunry Fort instead of helping the housing situation? I can't work it out. Thank you. I get you, and I think maybe you've texted on this Dunry thing before, and I've said my feelings on that in the past. Look, it's not about saving 3 million from that project and all of a sudden it fixes the Micah crisis. It just doesn't work like that. Well done, Greg, on putting it to Thomas Pringle about taxing Airbnbs. The housing crisis is of the government's making. It's a pity our national broadcaster doesn't ask hard questions. It seems they're afraid of offending their masters. Well, you see, what happens sometimes is if you ask hard questions, people refuse to be answerable to you or the general public of Donegal. Isn't it strange? So maybe that's why RTE doesn't ask hard questions, because when I do ask hard questions, certain people run for the hills and won't speak to the people of Donegal that elected them. So anyway, that's just the way it is. I'm prepared to, if that's what happens, that happens. But I'm here to represent the people. I'm not self-appointed in doing so. I'm on about ask the questions that affect us all, all right? So maybe that's why the national broadcaster doesn't, because they're afraid that they won't get their minister every other day onto Morning Ireland. I haven't a clue. Right, okay, we are going to be talking about the water situation in Letterkenny after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. For the biggest names into perfume and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dolce & Gabbana, Paco Rabanne, Carolina Herrera, Calvin Klein, Jimmy Choo and Burberry, Ariana Grande, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Vera Wang and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
Buncrana Music Festival, Friday 30th of June and Saturday 1st of July, featuring Scouting for Girls, Jake Bug, Hermitage Green, Pa Sheehy, Sive Skelly, The Midnight Preachers and Riva. Buncrana Music Festival, Friday 30th of June and Saturday 1st of July. Get your tickets now at buncranamusicfestival.com.
Who said electrification can't spark excitement? From introducing Ireland's first EV to redefining the family car, Nissan has always led from the front. And now we're breaking new ground once more with e-Power, Nissan's unique hybrid driving system, fueled by petrol, driven by electric, no need to recharge, giving you the pleasure of electric driving without the need to plug in. New Nissan Qashqai and X-Trail with e-Power. Drive it to believe it at your nearest Nissan dealer. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Don't waste time. Have your say on the National Waste Management Plan. This plan, by the local authorities of Ireland, sets out a path for our transition to a circular economy, to reduce pressure on our natural resources, increase reuse, repair and recycling, and promote sustainable growth. We want your view on Ireland's plan. Go to mywaste.ie.
At Centra, feel good and shop smart with great offers this long weekend. Like inspired by Centra sirloin steak 440 gram, only €8. Selected chocolates, soft drinks, and Hunky Dory's sharing bags, any 3 for €5. And Santa Rita 120 selected range, €8 each. Centra, live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
the Reverend Jim Lamont presents an evening of music and song in Angrillan Theatre, Letterkenny on Friday 9th of June at 8 p.m. with Hugh P. and Maria Doherty, Diane and Iona Holt, Diane Leckie, Andrea Long, Amy Meehan and the Regent Quartet. Tickets €15 on sale now from the theatre box office. Proceeds in aid of the Donegal Hospice. An evening of music, stories and a Donegal farewell at Angrillan Theatre, Letterkenny on Friday 9th of June.
Okay, Amanda joins us on the programme now. She's living in the Bonamy area of Letterkenny. Thanks for taking the call, Amanda.
Good morning, Greg.
Nice to speak to you. Right, you've had problems with your water supply. Talk to us about the problems, the outages, and your interaction with Isca Heron, a.k.a. Irish Water.
So I suppose we've been having these problems for going on 3.5 years now, but most recently, in recent months, they've got really bad. We have had outages in the last month for nearly every second day, if not nearly every day sometimes. And I know that you had my neighbour on the show a couple of weeks ago. Now, in saying that, for the last 2 weeks, we have had no water outages at all. So it's miraculous, really. But for the last 3 days, since Monday morning, our water went off due to a large burst in Lismonaghan, I believe. But it still took 48 hours before our water supply was restored. So where there is an outage or a burst, it seems to take that length of time before it gets to our properties and our neighbouring properties. So this situation has been ongoing for 3.5 years, but certainly deteriorated for the last couple of months, and it falls on deaf ears whenever you contact Irish Water. I used to ring them. I've stopped doing that now because you just spend so long on the phone. They ask you the same questions. It's just, the bureaucracy is unbelievable. I email them now instead, and you just get these generic text messages from them. But I have lodged a complaint with them on numerous occasions. The results of the most recent complaints then came back on to basically tell us that we're on our own financially. We have to sort this out ourselves.
So they never talked about any future investment, any future plans. They're saying because of your location that they can't presumably guarantee a water supply and for you to try and source or invest in one for yourself.
Correct, yeah. They said that they had a field engineer's investigation carried out and that there was no operational solution on the ground. Now, let's point out we are connected to the mains. Planning permission was granted for our property, and Donegal County Council were paid a water charge for the connection to supply water to our property and to all of the other properties on our road. But to say that there's no operational solution is it's infuriating, and it's a slap in the face for us when we've been through so much trouble, and we are really at our wit's end. We have children. We have our house just shuts down when there's no water supply. But what they've told us is that we need to invest privately ourselves for private water storage and for pumping systems.
Okay, that line is failing us.
It's awful.
Yeah, I mean, there's a human right to water, though, and sanitisation. So they're effectively saying, and they are an arm of the state, and you paid your water charges to get connected and everything else. As I say, it is a human right, but they're saying it is not their responsibility to provide you with an adequate water supply for you to do that yourself. That's really unbelievable.
It really is unbelievable. I mean, we were totally shocked when we received the email and we circulated it among our neighbours. And, apart from taking to the streets, we just feel, where do we go from here? Our house and our neighbours' house is back onto a forest. The forest is only about 15 feet away. So if there was a fire, particularly given the warm weather, there actually isn't any fire hydrant visible on our road either. So that's another issue that we have with Irish Water, which is besides the point. But it's there's a lot that's wrong with all of this, and we just don't know where to go now after this.
No, and I think Irish Water can't be let off the hook on this either. Stay where you are, Amanda. The Mayor of Letterkenny Municipal District is Councillor Donal Mandy Kelly. I mean, I've heard a lot of things attributed to Irish Water, but nothing like this before, Donal. I mean, it's a dereliction of duty, is it, at the very least?
It's absolutely unbelievable, Greg. That's what it is. That's ridiculous. And this is the firm that talks us about that they're due to take over more or less full control of the water supply within Donegal and the county, for that matter. And for any resident, and in particular for Amanda there, and I want to welcome her on there, and they can be fully engaged with Amanda and the residents there of Bomini, New Mills, Cornwall, Tullygee, and these people are suffering day in, day out. As Amanda stated there, nearly every second day they're without water. And we're in 2023, and this carry on is still going on.
Well,
it's absolutely ridiculous.
And as well as that too, if Irish Water are not capable of maintaining the water network, which Amanda is connected to, well, then we need to make sure that they do not take over the running of that network, because by their own admission, they can't fulfil that commitment.
Without a doubt, Greg, and Greg, you're fully aware this is something that I'm very vocal on. If I had my way and I'm pushing as hard as I can, Irish Water would not be taking full control. But listen, I feel myself, Greg, it has come to a point that I have had a wall, and for Irish Water to come back with a response to residents such as that they more or less have to put their hand on their own hip pocket to resolve this problem. It's absolutely shocking. And I mean, Greg, we have TDs there as well, and Dallairn in Dublin, and the Oireachtas, and I feel that they need to be making more noise about this as well, because they're too quiet on what's going on here. And should Irish Water get full control of our water here within the county of Donegal, it's going to be nothing less of a disaster. It'll be a catastrophe. Because I feel, I mean, we have great men on the ground here within our own local authority that is more than willing and trying hard to get all these problems resolved within these areas that we're talking about. And again, and Ross Bracken there as well. And we had an issue that I went to as well there, as well as the reservoir in Ardodonald where it's leaking come heavy rain there. And I mean, they're not listening. They're not coming out. They're not getting these problems addressed. And as I say, Greg, and I can't state highly enough of our own men within Donegal County Council, they are doing their damnedest.
But just on the point on the point of national representation, I mean, obviously you have access to a minister's office in Minister Charlie McConnell-Logue. Have you made contact with him or his office, and what's he going to do about this issue? Because he's the most senior politician in this county.
I have, Greg. And I've been fully engaged with Charlie, and Charlie, our minister, is pushing very hard on this. But, Greg, I'm going to state it again. There's a lot more than Charlie McConnell-Logue in this county that's in Dublin. And Charlie McConnell-Logue is doing his damnedest for me. I'm in contact with him in his office very regularly on this. But I'm yet to have a call or engagement from any other TD that's representing the people of Donegal. And that's something that I find a bit alarming. And that's why I would like to have more engagement than the rest of our TDs within the county. Have them come out and be vocal on this as well. We can't offload everything onto our minister, Greg. At the end of the day, there's a lot of other issues that he's trying to resolve as well. And, we have other TDs there. And I think everybody needs to pull their own weight on this. Be vocal, get out and get the points addressed, and hold Irish Water accountable. Because what's going on here, it's absolutely shocking.
All right, but I mean, Amanda, separate from the political side of things at this stage, you know what I mean? This is everyday life for you. You just want a resolution to this, and it seems a bit hopeless at the moment. I mean, what can we do to better hold Irish Water to account? I mean, I want them to release to us in a press release what they said to you. I think it should be publicly on the record to a media organisation that they are saying that it's not their responsibility, that it's down to residents to do this. And then we need to start talking about getting your fees restored to you, if that's the case, because you paid for a water supply. They're saying that they can't provide it. So, you know what I mean? Like this opens up an awful lot of avenues that we need to pursue here, Amanda.
Absolutely. I mean, we certainly don't want to give back the fees. We just want our water supply.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. If they're saying that they can't do it, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not putting words in your mouth.
I get the point. Yeah, absolutely. No, we just feel hopeless. We really do. And it's fine when the water is back, but then once the water goes off again, everyone is just put back into the same position again. We all have young families. We have lots of things to do in the house connected with water.
Yeah.
And as I say, our house just shuts down. I had to replace a dishwasher 2 weeks ago because the one that we had just cut out because it was being starved of water. And, these are the practical day-to-day things.
And the motor burned out. It could happen to an electric shower.
Absolutely.
You're heating, then you wonder, can you put it on or off or on, and all that stuff. Okay. Well, we're going to make our inquiries to Irish Water as well, Amanda, with a view to, as I say, at least getting that shocking statement from them on the record, as well as I know they've already informed you of that. And from your perspective, Councillor Kelly, what can you do next? You said you feel you've hit a brick wall on this issue with Irish Water.
Well, Greg, I may have had a brick wall, but I'm not going to stop to get through it. I can assure you that. I mean, for Irish Water to turn around and say that there's no, that they can't find a solution. There's always a solution. There's always a way around things. And I have no doubt in my mind there's a solution to this as well. And Irish Water needs to get the finger out and get it resolved. And I mean, as Amanda stated there was a bust in Lismonaghan, and now it could have been a factor to this. But outside of the bust in Lismonaghan, Greg, this has continuously been going on. And I feel personally myself, this is only my own opinion, but I feel that the infrastructure that's in place there within them areas is not adequate enough to do the job it should be doing. And on top of that, I feel that the reservoir up Ran that's feeding these areas is far too small now to hold the capacity of water that is needed.
I find it amazing that Irish Water can pump water from the Eddie Fullerton Dam in Inishowen all the way down that road, in across the dual carriageway, up and into homes in Letterkenny. And they can pump it all that way. And that is the future of development in Letterkenny, seemingly. But they can't get water from a local reservoir up to Bonamy. I mean, that is just bloody remarkable to me.
Greg, that's just on that point, and I mean, that's a point I'm trying to make. I mean, at the end of the day, you talk about developing that. Irish Water is the elephant in the room here. It's not only water supply that they'll have control of, it's water connections. That the cost that they're pulling out of the sky is unbelievable. Our construction, our planning, this all revolves around Irish Water, and make no doubt about it. And,
all right.
That's the fact.
Right.
Should Irish Water get full control, I think it's going to be a sad day for Donegal.
There's housing developments that are being refused. Housing developments in Inishowen are being refused because there's inadequate water supply. So your point is there and made. Amanda, thank you for joining us. I appreciate your time. Jackie, I'm not sure you're in the Cornwall area, and you've kind of pretty much got the same message from Irish Water. It's like, there's nothing we can do. Tell us the situation with you, Jackie.
Yeah, Greg, it's probably now going back over a year and a half. We start contacting them. Basically, every weekend we have no water. It just stops, no pressure, you see. So there's Saturday, Sundays, you'll go for maybe most of the day without any water. Washing machines, nothing's working. And when we contacted them, we were just logged a call and given a reference number, kept ringing them back. Got nowhere with them. Basically, they said to us, you're at the end of the line where you are, and that's it. There's nothing we can do. Bar putting in maybe a pressure pump somewhere along the line, but it's just gone nowhere.
So, and that's it. I mean, sometimes you can go, right, well, I'm going to kick up a fuss and maybe make some progress. They've effectively said that's it. So in terms of solutions, I just can't understand, like moving water, that they can't put something in between you and where there is decent pressure to get it further up the line. That probably is a solution to Amanda's problems as well. Like, it can't be beyond us from an engineering perspective if they wanted to, Jackie. And I wonder, is the will's not there?
It doesn't seem to be. It doesn't. And, it's very frustrating. You're getting nowhere. And, you spend hours on the phone waiting to hear back from somebody in these places and trying to get through to them. It's disheartening. And, like everybody else, you need to rely on your water supply. But I know Donald's looking into it and that, and it's just but it's very frustrating. And this has gone on like every weekend, and during the week as well.
Yeah,
when you're out at work, you don't notice it as much, but when you're in the house, you do.
Yeah, and Jackie too. It's not just the inconvenience; it is the dishwashers, the washing machines, the showers. It's the value of your property as well. I mean, this is probably your forever home. But say you wanted to downsize or move somewhere. I mean, like. You don't have a house with a proper... You know what I'm on about? Like, this is really impacting the value of your property and your lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's not just an inconvenience.
Yeah. Well, we invested in a huge big tank, a new tank, because just to have... so it would fill up and you'd have that for the showers. But the mains, like, that come in for the rest of it, that's still an issue. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
okay, Jackie. Listen, thanks for that. As I say, it's frustrating. Normally, like to see the wood for the trees or a solution or something we can do. But for Jackie and Amanda Donal, it does seem a little bit desperate, helpless, and the problem is getting answers from Irish Water. They seem to be, especially for a semi-state body, they seem to be a law into themselves in terms of whether they answer you or meet local councillors or speak to the media.
It's unbelievable, Greg, and I totally understand the frustrations of Jackie, Amanda, and every other resident out that area. I mean, the state there about the responses you're getting from Irish Water, it's hard to believe that myself and my colleagues as local representatives, that's the same responses that we get, and it's absolutely shocking. And, I'm a firm believer, Greg, in common sense, and in this day and age, and on this issue here, common sense seems to have gone completely out the window. And I mean, it's time that Irish Water pulled up their sleeves, come out and get this resolved once and for all, because these people's paying their taxes, they're paying their water bills, they're doing everything right, and they deserve to be treated in the same manner as every other citizen within the country. And that's not happening, and it's not good enough.
All right, and thanks very much for that, Councillor Amanda Kelly. As I say, access to a good water supply is a human right. I don't know if this is something that actually needs challenging in the courts or something, because obviously what we're doing already is not working. But I mean, can Irish Water, because they're bound by code of practice or what have you. I don't know exactly what the terminology might be, but is it challengeable in the courts? Liam, before we take a break, Liam, good morning to you. What's your experience?
Well, I mean, the experience of everybody is that Irish Water is set up not to be contactable, not to respond. It sets up that you have to go through central call centres or emails, and they simply don't respond. And if you do get anybody, we passed it to the local operation, so you don't know where it's hanging up. And Irish Water was created for one purpose. It was created for Enron, off the book accounting of all the capital that has to be spent to do up the water system. That was the only purpose of it, because if it could claim that it was a commercial operation, the debts wouldn't go on to the state accounts, so that we would keep within the 3% normal EU limits. That was the only reason it was created. It was for finance purposes and for what is essentially false accounting, which was allowed under the system. The function doesn't exist anymore. It relied on water charges to do that. There are no water charges, so its reasons for its existence has disappeared. So Irish Water should disappear. It's a disaster
and
for
you believe,
everybody.
You believe that the responsibility should return to the councils, and they should be properly financed in terms, obviously, of the infrastructural financing and staffing financing to address the problems locally. Yeah. I don't think the council would get away. You see, it's interesting because I don't think the council could get away with saying that it's not our problem, we can't do anything about it. I don't believe so. But Irish Water is so... It's so mysterious in its that they can get away with it because they have us chasing our tail just to get an answer.
The councils have their own problems, but the Irish Water is the worst of both worlds. It is a big anonymous thing. You cannot approach anybody locally to get anything done. You can't get a response. Even the councillors can't get a response out of them to say what needs to be done locally. And this thing, operational issues, that's effectively a lie. I mean, as Andy says, there is an engineering solution. It may be a very expensive engineering solution that nobody has probably looked at, but there is a solution for this problem.
I mean,
and it is an emergency.
But see, we have a scheme in this country, and I agree with it, and it's not perfect, but it is working, to connect broadband at a certain minimum speed to every house in Ireland. Now, that doesn't even matter if your house is 3 kilometres. The scheme is there to attach you to that with minimum speeds. Yeah, here we have what gives us life, water. Okay, and there doesn't seem to be any actual, unless Irish Water are misleading Amanda and Tracy, there doesn't seem to be anything that guarantees a service of a certain level to every house in Ireland. Now, we're not talking about on the north tip of an island off the coast here. We're talking about houses that are in and around Letterkenny. And I appreciate what they're doing with broadband. Don't get me wrong, but there are minimum requirements and obligations so you can go on the internet. We're talking about water here. Liam, I have to go, unfortunately. It's been lovely having you on, and you made strong points, and I appreciate that.
The Northwest Opera returned to Angrinnan Theatre this June 2nd and 3rd with the musical comedy Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, with music by Stephen Sondheim and the iconic film adaptation by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp. This chilling tale of revenge will leave you breathless. Book your tickets now at Angrinnan Theatre. Don't miss Sweeney Todd at Angrinnan Theatre, June 2nd and 3rd.
She cuts in for the wing. Oh, that's superb. She's through and goal! Yes! She scored a world-class win! Sarah?
Huh? Oh.
Cadbury Buttons or Dairy Milk?
Oh, gosh, sorry. Don't dream about a world-class win. Enter to win one. Meet a world-class footballer and win an epic holiday worth 8k. Only with Cadbury. T's and C's apply. Visit worldclass.cadburyfc.com.
National Heritage Week returns from August 12th to 20th, and this year celebrates living heritage. Organise an event by exploring and sharing the traditions, crafts and skills passed down through generations in your family or community. Visit heritageweek.ie for more. National Heritage Week is a programme of the Heritage Council supported by the Local Authorities Heritage Officer Network and the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
The Coop Dunlow's Bank Holiday Sale is now on in-store and online. Massive savings across all departments. 25% off homeware, 50% off selected furniture, 30% off lighting, and there's 30% off selected wall art. For more deals, check out their website, thecoop.ie, or call in-store today.
Shop LK at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure Main Street, Letterkenny. All the kids are back playing football with longer days and shorter nights. Kids football boots from only €25, available in Velcro or lace. Check our new range of kids boots, shorts, socks and accessories. Visit our new club room with quarter zips, t-shirts and matching bottoms for your favourite local club. Click on Teamwear at bmcsports.ie for more details.
Okay, that's pretty much where we have to leave it on the 9 till noon show for this Thursday. As I glance out the window, the sun has broken through the clouds across Letterkenny here on the mountaintop. Don't forget, we're back with you tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. We have a brilliant Friday panel in studio, or joining us remotely, or in studio, I don't know, it doesn't matter anyway. They'll be joining us one way or other to run through some of the big stories and topics of the week or of the day. So stay tuned for that. Always a popular item from 9. Michael and Fanoodle will join us then from 11 o'clock. And there's so much besides. Guests between 11 and 12 and other things to keep you informed and entertained between 10 and 11. So for me and the team, Caroline O, who researched and produced, assisted by Niamh, who is also working on our social media. Have a wonderful day. Stay tuned. John Breslin is coming up around the Northwest after the news at 12.